I now declare the 14th of October Council meeting open at 6:30 p.m. and welcome all those in attendance. I now invite Councillor Sue Hong to read the acknowledgement to country.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The City of Melville acknowledges the Wilburman people as the traditional owners of the land on which the city stands today and pays its respect to the Whadjuk people and elders both past and present.
Thank you, Councillor Hong. Now I draw your attention to the disclaimer on the screen. The affirmation of civic duty and responsibility on the screen. The advice of audio-visual live streaming and recording on the screen. Now, I take this opportunity to welcome the community in attendance tonight in the public gallery and online. Tonight, we'll be discussing and making decisions on matters that you have an interest in. So the City's committed to listening to the community, and I ask you to assist with our decision-making process through mutual respect by not interrupting the meeting by clapping or calling out. This will assist elected members in focusing on the discussion and debate and outcome of the matters before them tonight. So should you wish to engage with the City on any matter, please make contact with the City or your elected members. And if you're planning on asking a question during public question time and you haven't already submitted the question to us in writing, it would be appreciated if you could complete the question time form found on the table on your left and hand it to an officer prior to the commencement of public question time. Moving to item 2, attendance and apologies. We do not have any councillors attending electronically. And there are no apologies or leaves of absence for this evening. Item 3, declarations by members. We now move on to declarations by members. Are there any declarations by members who have not read and given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers presented before the meeting? Councillor Wheatland.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, I'm not sure what came through today. I've only just finished work and I've just got here, so I haven't had a chance to check the emails that came through today.
Thank you, Councillor Wheatland. Councillor Lim.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, so I'm the same as well because a few items came in quite late in the piece, and yeah, I'm not across as many things as I would like to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lim. Anyone else? Right, declarations by members who have received and not read the elected members' bulletin. Nil. Item 4, announcements by the presiding member. We have approved deputations. A number of deputations have been approved for tonight's meeting. From Ms Sibold of Applecross in relation to item 15.3, motion with notice, John Connell Reserve Clearing Permit. Mr P Coombs on behalf of the Leeming Spartan Cricket Club in relation to item 15.3, motion with notice, John Connell Reserve Clearing Permit. Ms R Richards, Ms Nuber and Ms White on behalf of Element Advisory in relation to item UP 87, proposed Applecross Ferry Terminal and associated facilities within the Canning River and Canning Breach Road Reserve. I will call you forward prior to the discussion of these items to make your deputation to Council. Approved written submissions. There were no written submissions approved for this evening. Item 5, disclosure of interest. Can the Head of Governance please advise if there are any disclosures of interest for this evening? Ms Newman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, a disclosure of interest has been received from Councillor Clive Ross in relation to item 12.1, petition, receipt of petition John Connell Master Plan. Councillor Ross is declaring an impartiality interest and has elected to stay in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Newman. Are there any further disclosures from elected members? There's no disclosures. Further disclosures?
Madam Mayor, if people are a member of the Leeming Sports Club, do they have to declare a conflict of interest?
Can you give some advice on that? Ms Newman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, elected members may want to consider if they're a social member declaring an impartiality interest.
Public question time, item 6. I now open public question time at, what's the time? 6:36. Now, a number of questions have been received with notice this evening. If we have the question asker here in the meeting, or have a representative to ask the question, could you please make your way towards the microphone to ask the question when called? If there is no one in the audience to ask the question is not taken on notice. The question and response will be provided in the minutes, which will be available to the public on Friday, 17th of October. A representative for the City of Melville Residents and Ratepayers Association. Is there anybody in the gallery who wishes to ask those questions? Otherwise, they'll be just taken on notice and included in the minutes next month. Ms Sibold of Applecross, are you here to ask your question?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, councillors and city officers, and thank you for providing this opportunity to speak. My name is Sally Sibold and I've been a resident of Applecross for 25 years. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, not affiliated to any particular group, although I have membership with several environmental groups, including the Melville Tree Canopy Advocates. I support Carnaby Action to Save Perth Cockatoos, and I'm also a convener of Friends of Applecross Foreshore at the Jeff Joseph Reserve. I'm an active participant in planting trees and work with conservation groups. I have an interest in the environment and I am mindful of the catastrophic consequences of habitat destruction on the native flora and fauna in the Perth region and the rising heat effects due to lack of canopy. First of all, I'd like to point out that I am in favour of a second cricket pitch. I'm aware that there is a need for increased sporting facilities in the area and that clubs often struggle to find suitable grounds. It's important for the community to have access to sports, change rooms and social meeting points, and that young people are encouraged to engage in a range of sporting activities. What I'm not in favour of is the clearing of 0.68 hectares of biodiverse cockatoo foraging habitat to extend the current oval for a second cricket pitch. There appears to be a conception that the area surveyed for clearing is degraded scrub and therefore of little value. However, the Department of Water Environment report indicates that this patch is of significant value and that clearing will impact foraging opportunities for cockatoos and also impact the adjoining Banksia woodland and the flora within it. Some priority...
Excuse me, this sounds like a deputation, not a question.
Oh, sorry, this is a deputation.
No,
Oh,
it's
sorry.
a public question time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do apologise.
Oh, no, you have submitted a public question that we thought you were going to ask that.
No, because that was... I didn't...
Okay, thank you very much. You'll get an opportunity later.
Okay, you'll have to listen to that again.
I was thinking it sounded like a question. Yeah, so, no. All right, thank you.
Madam Mayor, could I
Councillor
please
Robbins.
move a motion, if possible, to let Ms Sibold continue with her deputation at this time?
No, we're having her deputation later when we're considering the item. Thank you. So we're moving on to Mr Miotti of Leeming.
Good evening. I have two questions for the council. My first one is in relation to the statement issued by the City of Melville on Saturday the 11th of October 2025 titled City of Melville Statement on John Connell Reserve and comments attributed to Mayor Katie Mann. My first question is, who decided that the motion submitted by Councillor Clive Ross regarding saving remnant bushland at John Connell Reserve contravened the City Council's policy CP 105 election caretaker period, but a similar motion by Councillor Jane Edinger did not contravene the same policy? And my second question is, further, why is the Mayor and Council administration making public comments in the middle of a council election campaign regarding the motion of Councillor Edinger, which is seeking to protect the same bushland, before Council has had a chance to debate the matter without a known outcome, considering that a valid clearing permit has been issued to destroy this native habitat?
Thank you. Ms Newman, Head of Governance.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, thank you for your questions, Mr Miotti. In response to your first question, the motion was reviewed by officers and the CEO, with Councillor Ross being advised by the CEO that the motion was not in keeping with the intent of the City's caretaker policy, and that as parts of the 21 June 2022 resolution of the Council had been acted upon, a rescission motion and a statement of impact would be required in accordance with clause 15.4 of the City of Melville's meeting procedures local law. The motion submitted by Councillor Edinger does not require a rescission of the June 22 resolution and supports the work being undertaken by officers to provide a report on the matter to the April 2026 meeting of Council. Additionally, Councillor Edinger is not a candidate in the local government election. In response to question 2, the purpose of the post on the City's Facebook page was to address the speculation around the removal of native vegetations, including trees at John Connell Reserve, and to advise the community that no works would be undertaken until after the matter is considered by the Council at its April 2026 meeting. Thank you.
That was actually my first question. My second question is, in the interest of accountability and transparency, what does the City of Melville not provide an easy to locate, requestable summary of all council decisions, reasons given for those decisions, an individual voting record of each councillor? Further, why does the City not provide a breakdown of capital works and other improvements on a ward-by-ward basis so that ratepayers and residents can see where their rate payments are actually going? Thank you.
I'll ask Ms Newman, Head of Governance, to respond to your first question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, thank you again for the question. The information is contained within the minutes of each council meeting, which is provided on the City's website, with the City providing some 15 years of minutes. The Local Government Act 1995 at clause 5.94 provides a list of all the information that the City is required to make publicly available. Thank you.
And Mr Tuffin, Director of Corporate Services, will respond to your second question. Thank you, Mr Tuffin.
Regulation 7 of the Local Government Financial Management Regulations 1996 specifically provides that a local government is to have regard to the needs of its inhabitants of the district as a whole and not to keep separate ward accounts or determine expenditure on the basis of revenue from a ward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr Tuffin. We have Mr Newsham on behalf of Mr Morley of Willagee.
Good evening. Given the significant community support demonstrated by the petition of 244 signatures, will the Melville City Council commit to re-evaluating the vote on John Connell Reserve and explore alternative locations for the cricket pitch? Considering community concerns, what alternative measures can the Council consider to protect the mature trees at John Connell Reserve should the current petition fail to change the Council's decision? And what future liability issues would Melville City Council need to consider if non-alignment with the recently announced Federal National Risk Assessment and National Adaptation Plan created by the destruction of the trees at John Connell Reserve occurs?
Yes, Mr Jim Coton, Director of Environment and Infrastructure, will respond to your question.
Yes, thank you. Council has yet to decide on whether clearing in the oval extension will proceed. This matter will be presented at the April 2026 ordinary meeting of Council. At this meeting, various options will be provided to Council for consideration. If the clearing of the bushland at John Connell Reserve is to take place, the City and the Leeming Spartan Cricket Club will design an oval extension option that, where possible, minimises disturbance to the existing vegetation. Clearing of the area in question does not put the City at risk of non-compliance with the National Climate Risk Assessment and National Adaptation Plan, as these are guiding documents, not regulatory instruments.
Thank you very much. Now we're moving on to Mr Jenke. Could you please come forward? Is he here tonight? Mr Jenke from Applecross? Not in attendance tonight? Okay, he'll also receive a response to those questions and they'll be recorded in the minutes of the next meeting. Sorry. Oh, sorry, agenda of the November meeting, of course. Are there any further questions from the floor? If there be no further questions, I now close question time at 6:46 p.m. Moving on to item 7, awards and presentations. There are no awards or presentations for this evening. Applications for new leaves of absence. The following councillor has submitted a request for leave of absence. Councillor Su Hong for the 4 weeks in October and November. Are there any further requests?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Green.
For the across the November IMC, the Monday to Wednesday, my apologies, it's the 17th to the 19th of November. Are we putting in a
You don't
request
need to
for
give
leave?
specific dates, but just the month.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any further requests for leaves of absence? If there are none, I need a mover and seconder, please, to accept the ones we have. Councillor Wheatland, seconded Councillor Barber. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. I declare it carried. All right. Item 9, confirmation of minutes. The ordinary meeting of council, 16 September. Can I have a mover and seconder for the officer recommendation? Councillor Lee moved. Councillor Wheatland seconded. Is there anyone opposed? I declare it carried. 9.2, notes of agenda briefing forum, 7th of October. Can I have a mover and seconder for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Edinger moved. Councillor Lim seconded. Is there anyone opposed? I declare that carried. Now, I note the reference to the Policy and Legislation Committee minutes in the agenda is incorrect, as the meeting did not proceed. Item 10, new business of an urgent nature. There is no new business of an urgent nature. Item 11, identification of matters for which meeting may be closed. There are no items identified as confidential or containing confidential attachments for this evening. Moving on to petitions, item 12. A petition signed by 222 residents and 22 non-residents has been received by the City on Tuesday, 7th of October from Ms Sibbald in relation to John Connell Master Plan. Additionally, earlier this afternoon, the City of Melville received additional pages signed by 54 residents and 16 non-residents of the City. So item 12.1, receipt of a petition, John Connell Master Plan. Can I have a mover and seconder for the officer recommendation? Councillor Ross moved, seconded Councillor Barber. Is there anyone opposed? I declare that carried. Point 13, adoption of recommendations en bloc. We now move on to en bloc items for this evening. The following items have been recommended to be carried en bloc. Item C25322, Common Seal October. C25323, investment statements for August. C25324, schedule of accounts paid for August. Can I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation? Councillor Lee moved. Councillor Ross seconded. Anyone opposed? I declare it carried. Okay, now we're moving on to reports. For the convenience of those providing a deputation, the first item I would like to bring forward is 15.3, Notice of Motion, John Connell Reserve Clearing Permit. Ms Sibbald, will you please make your way to the microphone to make your deputation? You'll have 10 minutes to speak with a further 5 minutes for elected members to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shall I just carry on from where I started?
No, I think you better start from the beginning in case somebody might have forgotten what you said.
No worries. Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, Madam Mayor, councillors and city officers, and thank you for providing this opportunity to speak. My name is Sally Sibbald and I've been a resident of Applecross for 25 years. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and not affiliated to any particular group, although I do follow several environmental groups, including Melville Tree Canopy Advocates, and support Action to Save Perth Carnaby Cockatoos. I'm also convener of the Friends of Applecross Foreshore at Jeff Joseph Reserve, and I'm an active participant in planting and conservation groups. I have an interest in the environment and I am mindful of the catastrophic consequences of habitat destruction on the native flora and fauna in the Perth region and the rising heat effects due to lack of canopy. First of all, I'd like to point out that I am in favour of a second cricket pitch. I am aware that there is a need for increased sporting facilities in the area and that clubs often struggle to find suitable grounds. It's important for the community to have access to sports, change rooms and social meeting points, and that young people are encouraged to engage in a range of sporting activities. What I'm not in favour of is the clearing of 0.68 hectares of biodiverse cockatoo foraging habitat to extend the current oval for a second cricket pitch. There appears to be a conception that the area surveyed for clearing is degraded scrub and therefore of little value. However, the Department of Water Environment report indicates that this is a patch of significant value and that clearing will impact foraging opportunities for cockatoos and also impact the adjoining Banksia woodland and the flora within it. Some priority needs to be given to decision-making around retaining remnant bushland where at all possible if the City of Melville is serious about preserving habitat, cockatoos and canopy. The John Connell Master Plan, what's it all about? I'm aware that the land next to the proposed clearing under discussion has been a waste tip and there are concerns for toxic waste and concern around ground and water levels. However, I would urge the Council to look holistically at the entire John Connell Reserve and review the Master Plan of 21-22, providing recreational and club facilities for the whole community within this area and prioritise the conserving and enhancing of precious bushland. Do not fast-track this oval extension. A second cricket pitch could be accommodated by retaining the current bushland and having the cricket pitch located nearby by reclaiming and remediating the waste area. Or think more creatively around realigning other assets, maybe the golf course or something. Maybe look at utilising the wasteland for sports that benefit from undulating land. This removes the need to clear this important remnant vegetation corridor that are used by resident cockatoos. A holistic view of the entire reserve could be a way around meeting the needs of the sporting clubs, but not at the expense and gradual demise of cockatoos, native wildlife and endangered flora. Remnant bushland removal, even that classified as degraded in isolation, doesn't allow for an understanding of the full ramifications this has across the city. Trees are being removed daily on private land for developments, 33 mature trees removed at Aquinas College for tennis courts, 2 weeks mature trees at Canning Highway had to remove due to the Ogilvie roadworks. There are mature trees being removed from verges due to fears of falling limbs, and in February 2024, there was observed significant loss of tree canopy due to heat stress during a very long, hot, dry summer. Consideration also needs to be taken around the effects of shot hole borer. While it's commended that the City of Melville planted 700 trees across the city, the sad fact is that 50% of these may not last 2 Perth hot summers unless a significant amount of watering and nurturing and care are included to maintain them. I would predict that 700 trees of varying size may have also disappeared or died during this period. The City of Melville is significantly below the 30% tree canopy cover recommended by the state government. Removal of these trees will increase the gap between the current tree canopy cover and the proposed target and will further increase the time it will take to reach the target, if ever. I reference from the BirdLife organisation, habitat clearance and degradation are the major threats to carnivores, and development in the Perth metro region is rapidly reducing remaining habitat in the area. Cockatoos feed on a variety of trees and need a constant food source close to their roost. Evidence shows that this is a patch of land that provides food sources from a range of Banksia, Hakea and Todtiana trees. I believe they have a roost on the Melville Glades golf course. This is an important corridor of bushland that will just disappear for them. Saplings planted around the edge will just not suffice. I'm concerned that individual projects that include removal of remnant bushland will become commonplace because the Department of Water Environment approve them but require large offset targets. To some, this might sound very good. It allows developments to go ahead, but at the same time gives the impression the environment's being conserved and even enhanced, and therefore not such a bad thing. Clear some old degraded scrub out and plant out another area with mass plantings and saplings, and it all looks great. This is a very short-sighted way of conserving habitat. Native saplings require a lot of care, nurturing and water. Many will fail at the cost to the ratepayer. Saplings, if planted towards the end of winter, dry out very quickly once the summer starts. Tube stock or very small seedlings have a better rate of survival. The main disadvantage is they will not benefit wildlife or provide habitat, i.e. nests, food, canopy or shade, for decades to come, and again, many will fail. Meanwhile, cockatoos and other native birds are pushed to the fringes, competing for ever-decreasing habitat and canopy. You don't know what you've got till it's gone. The Flora, Fauna and Vegetation Assessment Report of 2020-2021 highlights areas of excellent and good in the bushland. The Department of Water and Environment report also highlights the significance of this patch of land. The area immediately south of the proposed clearing area is mostly excellent and very good condition and qualifies as Banksia Woodland Threatened Ecological Community. So, we are very aware that this is an area of significance. It's fragile and it's under threat, and this is reflected in the magnitude of the Department of Water and Environment proposed offset. The offset requires a whopping 7.34 hectares of revegetation at Kenhurst Park. When I visited in August, I sighted 20 Carnaby cockatoos resting on high branches there. I've received numerous photos from visitors to the site seeing cockatoos in the trees and bobtail goannas. I understand that Aboriginal elders were consulted on this issue 4 separate occasions. They overwhelmingly stated that the bushland should be retained. These people know the land, and if they say it's significant, then why are they being ignored? The hope is that the area deemed degraded, which generally refers to weed infestation, can be rehabilitated and enhance the adjoining threatened Banksia woodland. Look at what has been achieved at Wallace Hill, for example. Degraded habitat can be restored. Maybe go further and plant feed sources for cockatoos in other parts of the reserve, particularly Jarrah and Marri, which are species of large trees, often hundreds of year olds, that are disappearing across the metro. To conclude, would it not be better to conserve this area of unique bushland which can never be replaced? It is noted to be good and excellent habitat in parts. Even if it's degraded in parts, it's working 24/7 all year to provide shade, canopy, carbon absorption and habitat. The cricket pitch, on the other hand, while providing sports access for a section of the public, will incur costs via maintenance, weed killer, fertiliser, water, provides no canopy, shade or benefit to wildlife, and only used for parts of the year. I would urge the City of Melville to review the master plan, perhaps look at accommodating a whole range of sports on land that doesn't destroy the precious habitat we already have, that it will provide an excellent sports facility for the whole community and doesn't add to the piecemeal destruction of the flora and fauna in this area. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr Bald. Are there any questions from elected members? Councillor Green, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just curious, you mentioned that you're a member of the Melville Tree Canopy Advocates.
Yes.
So until recently, that group has been working very closely with council in terms of pushing for tighter controls on verge trees and tougher enforcement on illegal removal of trees and these sorts of things. I was just wondering if you have any insights as to why the sudden change of focus onto John Connell as opposed to these other areas.
As I said at the beginning, I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I am a member of Melville Tree Canopy Advocates. And I guess that's an interesting thing, actually, because these trees are very safe where they are for cockatoos, and verge trees, which are very commendable and they provide canopy, is the death knell for a lot of cockatoos. As we're seeing along the Tonkin Highway where they've planted banksias, cockatoos are getting knocked over by cars now. So we've got to try and retain the remnant bushland where it's safe for them to feed. Does that make sense? I mean, I'm not sort of speaking on behalf of Melville Tree Canopy Advocates. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and as a concerned member who wants to see Carnaby cockatoos and all the black cockatoos conserved as much as possible. Give them a chance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there another? Councillor Spanbrook.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your deputation. So just a question, prior to this becoming public information during the election campaign, have you taken part in John Connell Reserve at all? Perhaps you've walked down there, you take
Yes,
your dog
I've
down
been there several times.
and also have you actually met with the clubs? Have you, gone and had a chat with them and spoken to them about it, and just put your views
haven't
forward
personally,
and just discuss that with them? Thank you.
I'd love to, though. Maybe I will after this.
Okay, other questions from councillors? Councillor Lee?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. You mentioned about reclaiming the land that was once the tip. Have you worked out the cost doing that exercise? Because it will be horrendous. The cost of reclaiming the land that used to be the tip. You were saying that that was your alternative.
I don't know the costs. I'm sorry. Do you say the costs are horrendous for reclaiming the tip?
No, that you are going to use that land.
I don't know what the costs are. Sorry.
You don't.
Yeah.
Because it will run into millions. Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Ross?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, Mrs. Sibbald, what exactly are you asking Council today? Are you asking them to make a decision to stop the destruction of these trees? Are you asking them to not make a decision tonight and to leave the axe hanging over these trees for the next 5 months or so? What is it that you actually want from Council tonight?
Ms. Sibbald? Yes?
I'm just hoping that I've sort of raised awareness of what is likely to be lost once a decision is made. It could be made tonight, it could be made in April. It sounds to me as though it's a done deal. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I would rather retain them for the next however many months, if possible. I don't want to see the trees go. Are you asking me that I have to make a decision whether they go or not tonight, or...?
No, I think you probably answered the question, but just to let you know, elected members are required to keep an open mind on the subject. So there are no decisions made, or the councillors or elected members are required to have an open mind until the discussion occurs in April.
Right, okay. Well, I hope that was clear then, that my deputation is to just try and raise awareness with the council members of what is likely to be lost. I don't want to see the trees go. I think that would be a very backward move. But I hope I've just said my bit and made it clear.
Thank you. Councillor Barber, did you have a question?
Probably I know the answer, but there was a bit of an ambiguity and thank you for your presentation, Ms. Sybil. If I can just read from your deputation, you said the offset requires a whopping 7.34 hectares of revegetation. When I visited in August, I sighted 20 Carnaby cockatoos resting on high branches. Did you cite those Carnaby cockatoos at Kenhurst Park?
No, you can't get access to Kenhurst Park very easily, thank goodness. That was at the John Connell Reserve. So at the John Connell Reserve, there's very often cockatoos foraging on that patch in that corridor.
Okay, thank you.
Because it's Banksia that they prefer.
So have you been to the Kenhurst Park? Did you go there?
I haven't been to Kenhurst Park, no. I think you have to have a special permit to go there. It's not easily accessible.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Wheatland?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Sally. Can I call you Sally?
Yes.
Thank you, Sally. And I love your passion for anything to do with the environment. But I just wondered, where's my question? Would you would you support a full council briefing post-caretaker to ensure that future decisions align with science law or science, environment and community expectations if the motion doesn't get up tonight that you want to get supported? Would you support that as soon as the caretaker mode, which is Saturday, a full briefing to the newly elected member group as early as next week, administration, or the week after, because this is it's passionate from both sides of the community right here.
yeah, I appreciate
not just,
that.
You know, like from all sides. Would you support that? Would you be happy with that?
A full briefing after the caretaker mode.
Yeah, which is like as early as Tuesday next week. I've sent an email into the City of Melville asking some questions about this. And, you know, one of them is to provide a full briefing to the elected member group. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that the election is on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's close. We're on the precipice of a new council. You know, like if it's not decided tonight, then why would you oppose it happening next week? A full briefing and then a way forward. Because I do believe, I do believe that the city's administration working very closely with the sporting association.
It's probably quite a challenging thing for her to answer because she
Sally.
probably doesn't know the processes of council. It's
but I'm
a little
feeling
bit
very
challenging.
responsible here now for a patch of land that.
I think that's more of a officer responsibility to make sure that the newly elected members are briefed properly on all matters that are going to be voted on.
Sorry, if I just simplify it then, just bring it right back. So Sally, tonight, if there's no decision made to protect this strip of land, and I'm not saying that that's going to happen either way, I don't know what's going to happen, but would your part of the community be happy with a full briefing occurring as soon as the council's elected?
I think a full briefing would be really good because I think it can be a really open and transparent process so that everyone knows what's at stake. Once it's lost, once it's gone, it's going to start eroding that Banksia woodland.
I know.
And I don't think people really understand the ramifications of it.
Thank you.
All right, Councillor Spanbrook.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to make a point that I'm very pleased that you do support community sport, and in your deputation you do actually say you're in favour of a second cricket pitch.
I'm very in favour of sports.
Which is very good to hear. And you said how you're also aware that there is a need for increased sporting facilities in the area. And so my question is, have you by any chance seen an environmental assessment report on the area? Because you do claim that in your deputation, and I'm just trying to find it now, about how, actually, about it being very degraded, but I just can't find it right now. I should have actually highlighted it. But secondly, while you were down there at John Connell Reserve, did you actually, in that particular area I'm referring to, did you actually see any habitat, cockatoo habitats? Because there have been quite a bit of, conjecture thrown around that there are cockatoo habitats within that area. Were you able to cite any? Thank you.
I went there not expecting to see cockatoos and saw about 20. And I've had photographs from another visitor to the site, because there are quite a few people that are involved with, they want to support this, they're worried about it, walk their dogs down there, and they say they see cockatoos there all the time. That's where they sit and have a feed.
Just a quick
yeah,
follow-up.
Councillor,
Thank you,
we're
Madam Mayor.
pretty much at the end of
Did you by any
questioning.
chance take a photograph?
I have, yeah, I've got them
You
attached
do?
to the...
Oh, you do? Oh, no, okay.
Okay, I think, thank you very much, Ms Sibold. Unless we extend question time, we have reached our maximum, and we do have another deputation, and there's more opportunities to ask questions and of course, debate. So if there's a really pressing question, we'll take it, but otherwise we'll just move on to the next deputation, if that's okay with the elected members. All good about that. Okay, thank you very much for your deputation. Mr P. Coombs, will you please make your way to the microphone to make your deputation? You will have 10 minutes to speak with a further 5 minutes for elected members to ask questions.
Thank you, Mayor, for taking time to hear from me. As you may be aware, I'm the president of the Leeming Spartan Cricket Club. I've been the president for 12 years and I'm also the vice president of the Leeming Sports Association for 9 years. We are located at the John Connell Reserve, with the Leeming Sports Association being established in 1986, comprising of the Leeming Spartan Cricket Club, the Leeming Soccer Club and the Leeming Bowls Club. The cricket and soccer club also comprises of senior female sides and many junior sides, boys and girls, along with a number of veteran sides over 60. Our club is an old club, it's 108 years old. I'll get to that later. We work in conjunction with the Ball Creek Leeming Football Club, which comprises female sides and junior girls and boys sides, and the Melville Glades Golf Club. The Leeming Spartan Cricket Club was established in 1918, as I said, now 108 years old, to assist in the mental health and suicide prevention, along with bringing those people back into society from their return of the First World War. The John Connell area, designated as recreational, with all its sporting clubs, is very unique, with generations of people, families within the city of Melville have started their sporting community life at a tender age of 5 and are still around in their 90s and beyond. Moving from cricket to football to soccer to golf to bowls, many playing or contributing in all codes. Many are life members with multiple clubs. A rough estimate of the local people directly or indirectly involved in the sporting codes is around 3,000 to 5,000. The history of the Oval Extension has indeed been a long journey. Records between the clubs, the LSA and the city that I'm aware of go back to 1992. Most directly involved continuously, I've been most directly involved for the last 10. This phase that's before you, that brings us here tonight, the Oval Extension, is the last of a phase of the plan we created with the city some 10 years ago. A short version of what that plan is so to bring you up to speed, is that the previous phases involved the development of the LSA lease so as to increase government grant funding, completely renovating the old 2 change rooms, designed from the 60s, suitable for men only, with open toilets and showers, into what now is a magnificent multi-purpose showers, toilets, change rooms, separate umpire rooms, baby change rooms, first aid, and 4 change rooms, all styled to assist wheelchair, disabled, integrated players, spectators, and fit for purpose for women and children. It's a standout premises for the City of Melville, and the envy of every other council, I might add. The relocating and construction of an up-to-date Australian standard 4-bay hard wicket cricket practice nets was the second phase. I make note that all the change rooms and nets were heavily funded by our local, state and federal members in Dr Jaggs, Sam Lim and Ben Morton across the board. The cricket club applied and has received a federal grant of $650,000 via Sam Lim. It also applied and received a further $700K from Dr Jaggs via the state government, and previously $100,000 from the Honourable Ben Morton federal government. During all these phases, we sat with the city and worked together for the very best outcomes for our community. No step was taken without considering all the stakeholders and community concerns. This final phase will be no different. All of the plan and phases are not exclusive to the clubs, but is open and is utilised by all members of the community. I would like to give you a shortened overview of this final phase. In June, as you know, June 22, after a number of years of planning, the council resolution was made for the Leeming Spartan Cricket Club to submit a vegetation clearing application to the Government of West Australia, Department of Water and Environment Regulation, DEWA. The application was prepared sitting together with Jeff Bird from the city and his team with the city's environment area. The clearing permit was approved and granted by the Honourable Minister for the Environment on the 30th of June 2025. Of particular note, no appeals were received by the Honourable Minister in his decision of that clearing permit. The 3-year process was not an easy one. Dwyer applied, and rightly so, a very rigorous, extensive and robust process, with many issues sent back to us to address, back to us as in the city and myself, to address, in the end, after all these issues and levels were addressed to the satisfaction of DEWA. The clearing permit was not lightly given and easily obtained, and only after all stakeholders' concerns and flora and fauna impacts were considered in depth. It has been extensively and independently reviewed over many years by multiple government departments, engineering surveys, completed independent environmental studies, TECs conducted, numerous public opinions and surveys, numerous external consultants, multiple ARES reports, John Connell master plans, commissioned to name but a few. I'm going to have to get some water. Everyone else is going to be there dry as well. Thank you. As stated, a number of independent floral vegetation and fauna reports were conducted with a finding, and I'll refer you to slides, if we can get those up. The second slide, please. If we start there. These flora and fauna vegetation reports conduct into that area and that area alone, and I'll come back to that. The outcomes of the assessment activities carried out by natural area independent contractor, the impacts associated with the development are likely to be low, with the area of the cannabis food source not meeting size and condition criteria for referral. The proposed clearing area is not at variance with any of the 10 clearing principles, and ecological impact to the area is likely to be minimal. That's in relation to the area that's under consideration. Many public surveys over a number of years were conducted. The approved clearing permit is a very comprehensive, legally binding document and a very extensive instructions on how to proceed and with reporting conditions back to the department. It's very important to remember. I stated many years ago that the clubs and the city must come together and work together regarding all aspects of the plan and the different phases as already outlined. This has been the case and has worked very successfully, and it will continue to be the case. I want to assure you all that apart from it being in breach of the clearing permit, there will be no starting of the bulldozers or any clearing until all aspects of the phases in planning is addressed and all agreed to. I would now like to turn you through a small PowerPoint presentation and the documents that are in front of you. The plans are only a draft at this stage. We are already working with the city and the CEO and the team in relation. It's only a draft. If we look at slide 1, that's the area subject to the environmental report. If we move to slide 2, you'll see an area marked in light blue, I suppose it is. That's within the area subject to the environmental report. That's the 6.68, the famous 0.68 hectares approved for clearing by the DEWA. If you know the bottom corner, which is the southeast, I deliberately created a triangle to remove some excellent vegetation from any clearing. So it was shortened. It was shortened from the environmental report. If you go to the next slide, please.
Are you coming towards the end of your deputation?
Yes.
Because you're running out of time.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, may I move a motion for an extension, please, for the President?
Is there a seconder? Seconder, Councillor Hong. Any voice to the contrary? Is anyone opposed? I declare it carried. You have a 5-minute extension.
Thank you, ma'am. The next slide shows you the canopy surveyed by ourselves that was presented to and agreed to by the DEWA. The third slide shows our shortened version of that and excludes areas. The next slide, please. This is an important document that we've drafted up with the city, and it's not in stone. It's just a working in place to get an idea of how this is all going to fit together. And we are rounding the ovals to the north and to the south and along a corridor to the tip and the oval area to keep the trees. All the high trees and that you see in that photo remain. All the areas directly to the north are not being removed. This breaks it down to 0.68 hectares to roughly 0.35 hectares. We will want the trees, sorry, go to the next slide, please, the next few. You can just bring them up. Is there more? I'm not sure. That shows you the clearing permit decision and their references and decision-making process. It's extensive, it's 4 pages. People can see that later. We want the trees around the oval, we want the canopy, we want to save as much as we can. Why? We also like trees, flora and fauna. We do also believe in global warming. We are all part of this community. We are also see the need to build for the future for our kids and the future for our kids' kids. I do not need to explain to you where we are in society. The antisocial behaviour, bullying, depression, suicide, obesity, wellness, engagement, character building, relationship, employment opportunities, etc., etc. We're all aware of the benefits of sports and sporting clubs. And what is in the future is a horrible social media keyboard warriors, and now it's AI or A1 or whatever it is. Let me tell you, apart from what I've just stated, during the clearing application process, we were asked to respond to why can't you play on another ground? So I did a full review of all the available cricket and soccer fields within every council, north and south of the river. As far as north as Yanchep and south as Bunbury. The result, all are completely booked out. There is nothing available. In fact, they all reported that there is currently not enough established grounds. In case of soccer grounds, they are even in a worse position. I also even more disturbing news that there is no sporting grounds on the drawing board to be constructed in the near future. This all in a time of huge housing development, apartment high-rise being constructed. We are a club of a large size that currently require 4 playing fields. John Connell is but one. We also have Trevor Gribble, Peter Ellis, and a 4th, which was Shelley Reserve in the city of Canning. This was recently taken off of us with an explanation by them that because of home grounds of John Connell is in the city of Melville, go hire a ground from them. The SMCA had to cancel, our association had to cancel all bottom games on Saturday, as there was no playing fields available. What does this mean? People, kids stay home. What messages are we sending? Only to the better players can play sport. This Saturday, I've just learned, our junior girls team do not have a ground. They have to go to the city of Coburn. We were asked, build the grounds on top of the old rubbish tip. This was examined. We engineered an independent professional engineering, and the findings was the total cost to be that would range upwards to $50 million. The environment impact of moving parts of the old tip, along with all materials buried, equated to severe safety issues concerning exposed car bodies, metal and unearthing asbestos. It wasn't a viable option. If we all work together, we can make this small area of John Connell into a magnificent place where the environment and the community would be very proud of. We as a community need this. Our children need this. I would again say to you, this is a phase and is so important for the reasons I've stated, but also for many other reasons. What does all this mean? For our current and future kids, their well-being, all the things we know and state. Tell me, if this does not proceed, what do we do then? Where do our kids play? Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Now, questions from elected members. Councillor Wheatland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your deputation. I'm aware of how far back this has gone, and look, I know the work that you guys have done through the consultation process. Can we go back to slide 3, please?
Oh, they'll make themselves clear.
Back one more, please. Yep, yep, that one. Looking at that slide, you see the side of the landfill site, and before I touch on what you just said about your report into it, I believe the council did make a decision to remediate that site when we stopped with the Melville Glades Bowls Club redevelopment. But anyway, look, so what I'm trying to understand is in the John Connell Master Plan, the survey results that were on the June 22 council meeting agenda showed that 447 total responses, the majority of respondents, that's 47%, said they wanted the playing field on that vacant landfill site. So I want to know, I just want to understand why the club didn't want it on that site.
The site is in what, the top of the tip?
It's in the image in the survey results. There was a survey and it had position 1, option A, and option B, right? And option A, the majority of survey respondents said they wanted to move the playing field to option A, which was on the tip site. And then option B was second.
No, I disagree with you.
Well, I can show you the document.
And you'd have to refresh my memory because you're referring to a document, the John Connell Master Plan 2, so I can't recall to answer. That's what I'm saying.
Thanks, Pete, thanks.
Okay, Councillor Edinger.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your deputation. Can you please advise why the permit was not submitted by the Leeming Sport Association?
Sorry, I missed what you said.
Can you please advise why the permit was not from the Leeming Sports Association? It's come from the cricket club.
Yes, because
but not the Sports Association, which is
the motion that that was approved back in 22, which I have here. I thought I had here.
Yeah, I understand what the motion was in 19.
It directs the Leeming Spartan Cricket Club.
But why was that decision made? Why wasn't it from the Leeming Sports Association in the first place?
In relation to the oval, is a separate and not attached to the lease of the Leeming Sports Association. The oval, John Connell Oval, is an independent lease by multiple sporting and community clubs and people and groups that's not attached to the LSA. The LSA for an oval extension has no authority.
Okay. Can I have another question, please?
Yes, Councillor Edinger.
Are you able to advise, as a percentage of time committed to preparing the permit, what percentage of time did the city contribute?
I couldn't answer that.
Was it 100% of the time?
No.
50% of the time?
No, we sat, I wouldn't like to think how much time we've spent on it, how much money we've spent on it. The surveying documents, the actual lodging of it all and so on, the club paid for.
But they used the city's resources to prepare the documentation?
No, we didn't, no. But that's your environment partner, Jeff Bird, did the aspect in relation to the offsetting. So that's not, the two different things we came together, but yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Barber.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your presentation, Mr Coombs. We had a question earlier tonight that talked about the federal government putting out some legislation regarding potential risk and future liability for clubs and cities if players get too hot. And I'm very pleased to hear that you've cut the 0.68 hectares down and are trying to retain the trees for shade. I think that all goes well. But my question is that I felt you didn't answer my colleague's question about utilising a pitch on the degraded tip site. We're going to ask the city officers how much this is going to cost, and we've heard a quote tonight, 50 mil. But if money was no object, what would be your concern about having a pitch on the other side of the vegetation?
Well, money is an object. I can't go past that. To make that, it's not the tip side at Rivervale where Burswood is and the casinos and Optus where there's lots of money. This is a tip site which have to move and deposit somewhere else all this rubbish. Sure, if you've got the money, that'd be great.
So if it could be done, you wouldn't mind having it on the other side of the vegetation?
No, absolutely not. If it's safe and it's constructed, yeah, absolutely.
Councillor Green.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just wondering if you could cast your mind back to the council motion amended to request that the cricket club apply for the clearing permit. Was that a preference of the club at the time, or and if so, could you give some reasons for why?
It was a wave to move the process forward to get the permit in, see how the due diligence and see how the cards lie. If it went the other way, it went the other way. We wouldn't be here today.
So just for expediency, urgency, and perhaps a little bit of control of the...
Certainly not control, not for expediency, not for urgency. There was speed and urgency because we've lost players. We've lost in a number of codes because we can't have grounds to field all the players. There's been a huge influx in women's sport. We all know that. Huge influx by Sam Kerr with soccer. It's exploded. The soccer club, for example, has the last year grown its teams fourfold. What holds us back is grounds. We have an Ashes series. They're flooding through the door. It's housing's built. You know, the areas are one house block is now 5, or it's a big boom. It's a big problem. So there is an urgency.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Councillor Woodall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr Coombs, for the presentation. Could you just confirm whether the soccer club are also supportive of the second oval extension?
Yes, absolutely. There's members and life members in the back here. Junior players, junior kids are here within the thing. The support, and we work together hand in glove.
And just a follow-up, if I may, Madam Mayor. To the extent you have the information available, how many members do both your clubs have, the cricket club and the soccer club in total?
It varies from what is actual playing members to non-playing members to life members to families. So collectively, I would think somewhere around, and very conservatively, 1,800 to 2,000.
Questions? Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Combs. Yeah, you told me that in the weekend, a lot of the players had to be turned away. But I'm just wondering, you know, when I speak to the other clubs, all the competition time they're busy at the same time. Is that, you mentioned social media, we're going for 24/7 day-night games. So is that possible to reschedule the competition time so it's less pressure on having to extend the pitch and etc.?
the issues of night games are being played. During the week, they are being played. Off-season, during the winter, they are being played. Without signalling out, we have a country who their passion is cricket, who are coming to Australia, are in Australia, and rightly so. And that is a J-curve. That has caused enormous pressure on associations, clubs, grounds, and so on, to shift, and they're always open. So we do play Saturdays and Sundays. We do play during the week and evenings. The occupancy is high, if that answers your question.
Councillor Edinger.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just have a question about funding. So is the club going to be funding the remediation and revegetation and removal of the vegetation if that all goes ahead?
Who's funding?
Is the cricket club?
No, we've received funding in relation to the Oval from the federal government with, again, strict guidelines and reporting conditions and purpose. The money, in my opinion, and this is why we work together, from our side, is enough to get the job done. The offsetting is another issue.
And so the club is not prepared to fund the offsetting, or?
It's not the club's not prepared. The club hasn't got the money. We're volunteers. We're a community thing. We're not rich. We don't have the money. That's why we get grants. I see just yesterday the Premier mentioning about money and grants for that very issue that hasn't been exploited, hasn't been tapped into, and that was the thrust of their news article. So there are avenues. This is, again, back to what I was saying, we all must work together. In the environmental groups, I'm very interested. I don't know why they haven't come and sat with us and explained all this material. I don't understand why we can't, and if we need to pull out plants, we come and do it. We're all volunteers, we're all experts, we're all got different businesses that can do the job. But no, we can't fund, as a club, what you're saying.
Thank you.
I'll take one more question from Councillor Ross, and then we've really reached the maximum of our question time. Thank you, Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, and thank you, Mr. Coombs, for your presentation and for your suggestions about how you can reduce the area of clearing. My question to you is that, are you saying, despite that over the last 6 years, the City of Melville has suffered a loss of 84 hectares of green cover, despite the fact that this area provides food and habitat for the black cockatoos, beside the fact that the cockatoos are an endangered species which are struggling to get food, you still want those trees removed just so you can put the new cricket pitch in that location, and you won't consider an alternative location? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you've asked a number of questions, some of them very misleading and not factual. As I said in my submission, is that this process has been rigorous, it's been extensive, it has left no stone unturned. The results are clear, which is in conflict with what you're saying, and I'm not here to have conflict. Let's get it out on the table, let's work and get this for the best result.
Thank you, Mr. Coombs. And thank you very much for the deputations from both groups of deputies. Now, prior to tabling the motion, I'd like to remind the Council of the officer's advice note distributed in relation to this motion on Friday, the 10th of October. This will also be included in the minutes. Additionally, I'd like to invite Mr. Bird, Manager of Natural Areas and Parks, and Mr. Coton, Director of Environment and Infrastructure, to provide a short presentation. Thank you. Oh, I think it's just Mr Bird.
Mr Burton and Mr Bird.
Oh, Mr Burton and Mr Bird. Okay. I think we've got it right that time. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And through you, we'll commence things. I guess just a bit of a history how we got here. In June 21, 2022, at the ordinary meeting of council, the council resolved the following, that the council directs the CEO to provide authorization to the president of the Leaving Spartan Cricket Club to submit a vegetation clearing application for an area of 0.65 hectare to the east of the existing playing fields to accommodate the oval extension to the Department of Water and Environmental Regulations, and 2, to advise the clubs that it is the city's preference to work in conjunction with the clubs to manage the planning, design, and construction works associated with the oval extension should this proceed. Next slide, please. Some key points just to go through as part of this process. The Leaming Spartans Cricket Club submitted a clearing permit which was accepted by the department on the 14th of August 2023. On 30th of June 2025, the club and the city were advised by the department that the clearing permit application was approved subject to a 21-day appeal process. There were no appeals in the 21-day period, and the official permit was granted on the 21st of July 2025. As part of this 25-26 annual budget process at the city, an amount of $100,000 was requested for further detail and design costs associated with the sporting field extension and clearing permit. Importantly, the council would need to consider and approve the John Connell Sports Field Extension project, including detailed design, oval option analysis, construction methodology, implementation of the proposed offset revegetation and rehabilitation plan, and funding arrangements for the project, including any clearing to proceed. A report is planned to come to council by April 2026. This image just highlights or just shows the area of John Connell Reserve, which includes the golf course to the north, the archery club, the open space, the golfing center, the tip site, and on the bottom left you can see John Connell Reserve with the bowling clubs. And the next slide is just a more in-depth picture of that reserve and the bowling club and John Connell Reserve and the area that is potentially to be cleared.
The slide on the screen here was obviously presented by Mr. Coombs, which is the latest indicative concept plan that has been developed by the club, and it is in line with the engagement that was conducted as part of the master planning process over the last couple of years. Some key aspects in regards to that plan. The intent is to relocate the existing cricket pitch, which is on the western side, further west, as you can see in the image, and to have a 55 to 60 metre boundary. Notably, it is indicative and there is further work to do. Moving also the main soccer field to the west to accommodate, which will need obviously to be accommodated by levelling on that western boundary as well, where in the northwest corner needs to be lowered and the area to the southwest corner needs to be raised in order to facilitate a potential soccer pitch. The creation of a second cricket oval to the east with a smaller boundary of approximately 55 metres. The location of the cricket pitches in this design enables them not to be covered in the winter season when soccer's played. And from the club's perspective, as Mr. Coombs outlined in his presentation, the reason for the orientation on the eastern field being slightly north is to steer clear, obviously, of that excellent vegetation in the south. And there's also a significant drop-off or topography in the site in that southeast corner. So obviously, when you've got level changes, you need to add significant retaining and those things. Next slide, please. Just in regards to the John Connell Master Plan, work commenced on the John Connell Master Plan in September 2022. Significant engagement has been undertaken to shape the current master plan, which is currently on hold. Should Council resolve the notice of motion, a summary of the engagement will be included in the April 2026 report. The April 2026 report will include the engagement results of the scenario testing undertaken, which I think is what Councillor Wheatland was referring to in her question previously, in relation to the options of extending the oval to accommodate the club proposed sport oval extension and or the creation of an oval on the former landfill site. To date, the draft master plan has been on hold due to the outcomes of the clearing permit process, which has obviously just been provided, a council decision to proceed with the John Connell Sports Oval extension, and also a more thorough understanding of the remediation requirements, including costs for the contaminated areas of the site to meet the vision of the current master plan that's been developed to date.
Thanks. Next slide, please. This picture we've seen before in previous presentations. This is the highlights the condition of the bushland when the survey was done by the city in December 2020. You can see the excellent area to the bottom right is highlighted in purple. The green is a good condition, the yellow is degraded, and the orange is completely degraded. Just for some context. Okay, next slide, please. The area hatched in yellow here is Kenhurst Park, which would be used as part of the offset if the clearing was to proceed. Next slide. Some of the important notes or conditions within the clearing permit is the permit holder must commence work before 23 July 2027, avoid, minimize, and reduce impacts to the extent of clearing. The permit holder must take the following measures to minimize the risk of introduction of spread and weeds and diebacks. There's a number of range of things that need to happen with that, and to ensure like machinery is clean and just to reduce the introduction of further weeds or dieback into the area. The permit holder must commence construction activities no later than 3 months after undertaking the authorized clearing activities to reduce the potential for wind erosion. The permit holder must conduct clearing activities in a slow, progressive manner in a single direction towards adjacent native vegetation to allow fauna to move into the adjacent native vegetation ahead of the clearing activity. And the permit holder must, within 12 months of the commencement of clearing authorized under this permit and no later than 23 July 2028, implement and adhere to the Kenhurst Revegetation Management Plan. Next slide, please. So the total offset area within Kenhurst Park is 7.3 hectares, which is highlighted in the red and green. So the red is the complete area of 7.34 hectares, and the green is the area that needs to be revegetated. So that is the area that is considered to be bare, and that's where the focused planting will take place. And we are looking at 4 plants per square meter, which is part of the clearing permit conditions. So we anticipate around approximately 65,200 plants in year 1, and a total of 50,000 plants to be planted in year 2, 3, and 4. With the outcome of that is 70% of the seedlings planted to survive by the end of year 4, which would be a challenge, and that's something we'd have to keep a close eye on if we proceed. I just want to highlight there's a blue area there that's what we considered a banked area. This is just designed to allow the permit holder to rehabilitate an additional area in line with the Kenhurst Revegetation Management Plan and bank it for potential future use as an offset if desired. There's no obligation for the city to proceed with that. It's just something that we could potentially use. Going through this process is quite laborious. And if we wanted to have something up our sleeve, if there's any future development in the city, that's something we can use as an offset. And I think that's it. Is there any?
Thank you, Mr. Bird. Are there questions from elected members? Councillor Robbins?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation. When do you expect that the John Connell Master Plan will be finalised? Is that a process that will happen down the road once the April 2026 report has been considered by Council, or can we expect it sooner? Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Robbins, through the Chair. At this stage, there's still a fair bit of work to do to understand the contamination requirements. the intent is to commence that work sooner rather than later, this financial year, but I foresee that ongoing for at least 18 months before we've got a definitive understanding of what the costs would be to realise the master plan, which is the expectation that council would need to understand that, but to make a decision to adopt the master plan.
Councillor Lim.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, just a question. Actually, there's probably a two-part question. So how many of the plants will be trees? Because as I understand, like, you know, I know that all trees are plants, but not all plants are trees. So like, how many of the 50,000 will actually be trees? Thank you.
Mr. Bird.
Yeah, through the chair. It's still early days, and we would have to work through that as part of our review of the requirements of the rehabilitation plan, and we will work with a consultant to determine exactly how many trees would need to be planted as part of that.
Can I have a follow-up? Is that
Yes,
okay?
Councillor Lim.
So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, would this actually, the planting, increase our canopy percentage? Like, is our GIS tool sort of advanced enough to actually detect that, hey, we have actually increased our canopy from this revegetation process? Thank you.
Mr. Bird.
Thank you, through the chair. I would say when you're planting close to 100,000 plants, you're going to have an increase in your canopy to some extent. Again, we haven't done any background data research on that, but I would strongly suggest that you will have a increased canopy cover.
Councillor Barber.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've just got a few quick questions. I'm interested in the land, the so-called degraded land, old tip land to the east of the vegetation. It's been bare for 15, 20, 30 years. Why did we not revegetate that land?
Mr. Bird.
Thank you, through the chair. There's been no plans to revegetate that that land in my time here. I can't say, you know, why. I know there was the John Connell master plan had considered that. Previous to that, I'm not exactly sure, as I wasn't privy to background information as to why not. I would suggest that the costs would be prohibitive, and that may have assisted in the decision not to do anything in that area.
I'm just thinking if we planted a tree 20 years ago, we'd have lots of trees there. DEWA accepted this request. Is that unusual that they accept land clearing?
Thank you, through the chair. Well, it's the first time the city has gone through this process in my 12 years here at Melville. I would say no, it would be a common thing. There would be clearing permits submitted on a regular basis to the department.
Madam Mayor, I've just got another couple of quick ones. Is that okay if I be quick?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. The cricket club have suggested that they could cut the 0.68 hectares down to 0.35 of a hectare. I applaud them for that. Would that help in negotiating with DEWA to have less plants? And you said it was particularly potentially laborious or onerous, the Kenhurst revegetation. Would we have some negotiating power there, or is this permit set in stone?
Mr. Bird.
Through the chair, the clearing permit's pretty specific, and it relates to the 0.68 hectares that was submitted to be cleared. So any amendments would, I would say, result in the clearing permit process possibly starting again.
And probably my last question, if that's okay. There's a notice of motion this evening about not touching the trees until April. Is that the same as what the city's process is anyway? Is it a duplication, or is this enhancing the process? Are you able to answer that or not?
Thank you, through the chair. As Dean had mentioned, we have to do, I guess, a number of steps have to take place before we can get to any clearing. We still need to detail up the concept designs, determine exactly where the oval would be placed. So there's a whole body of work that would need to take place, which would be presented to the council in April.
I just need the CEO to add a little bit to this.
Thank you, Madam CEO.
you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Barber. So in the officer advice note, we've outlined that we can undertake all the requirements within the motion with notice from Councillor Edinger, and we were planning for a business case and the planning and other cost analysis and options analysis work to come to Council in April of next year. So it is very similar to what the city was proposing to do anyway, but there are some slight differences in that the greening of Kenhurst, rather than just purely looking at as potential offset, was slightly different, but it still requires the same work for the city to do a revegetation plan and a cost analysis for greening, whether it's for an offset or for a greening plan. So in effect, we were planning to do that work anyway, with a slight difference to the wording around a greening plan for Kenhurst Park. Thanks.
Thank you.
Councillor Barber, I need to ask a few other questions
Yes,
from others.
Well, do you want to let somebody else have a go and I'll
Yes,
come
I
back?
think so.
That's fair.
Councillor Green.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick question. May or may not be able to be answered particularly accurately, but I was just wondering how many mature trees are likely to be impacted by the current oval extension proposal?
Mr. Bird.
Thank you through the chair. I guess defining what a mature tree is, but we've gone out and had a look through the area, and there's approximately 200 trees out there. 2 of those trees are 15 metres and above, so not extremely a large amount in that area. 18 trees are between 10 and 15 metres, and 82 trees between 5 and 10 metres.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We've got Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To Mr. Burton, you did mention that the place to be treated, I think the previous presenter did mention $50 million to treat the contaminated site. So I saw that the methane pipe that released the toxicity has the trace bill have stopped coming. So I presume the place is not as toxic as before. And why can't we use that land that was proposed by the first presenter, since the suggestion is always using, and the second presenter saying that it costs $50 million to treat. Is that an estimation or is that an accurate calculation? Thank you.
Mr. Dean.
Yeah. Through the chair.
Mr. Bird.
Thanks, Councillor Lee. The city hasn't obtained any costings on what it would cost to remediate that portion of the site to construct an oval. I know there was information in regards to the consultation around what the community preferred, but the city hasn't undertaken any detailed costings in order to remediate that. I suppose there are some significant challenges with that site. One of them notably is the topography. So as I sort of mentioned before, the southeast corner of where the proposed sporting oval extension is 25 metres above sea level, and as you go further northeast, it can get up to 42 metres above sea level, so that's a 17-metre height difference. So, when you're remediating sites, you've got 2 options. You can either cover them with fill to level them off, or you can dig the fill out. We haven't costed any of those options up yet.
Thank you. Councillor Edinger.
Can you please tell me, thank you for your presentations, can you please tell me if you know how much time the city contributed to the development of the permit? Thank you.
Mr. Bird.
Thank you through the chair. I can't give you a definitive number, but we were heavily involved in obtaining a lot of information that was supplied to the cricket club, which was forwarded on to DEWA. So if you want a number, I can't give you that, but I do know my team and my officers spent a fair amount of time putting information together as part of this process.
Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wonder if you could go back to that calculation of the number of plants that would be needed to be planted. I think it said 65,200. What about the infill planting that's required for the remaining 5.71 hectares? And that's the requirement on page 11 of the Dwyer permit. Why has that not been highlighted?
Mr. Bird?
Thank you through the chair. So we've just looked at the area of 1.63 hectare, which is to be revegetated as part of this process to date. If there's further plantings to take place, that's something that we will flesh out in the process of coming back to council in April, and we'll make sure those numbers are as accurate as possible. But that was just a quick indication of what we know that we'd have to plant within that 1.63, which is a bare area which needs revegetation.
In other words, there will be more planting required because the infill area is 7.34 hectares. Is that correct? Just a yes or no will do.
I'd have to look at that detail.
Page 11 says infill planting.
Yeah, so we'd have to determine what that means and then come back in April with a more accurate figure. But if it's saying infill planting, then yes, there would be some additional planting, but it wouldn't be to the density that's required as part of the 1.36 or 1.63 area.
Thank you. Councillor Whitland?
Just a follow-up, please.
Oh, follow-up?
Madam Mayor, on page 2 of the Dwyer permit, it's recognized that the loss of 0.68 hectares of native vegetation that is considered significant foraging habitat for Zander, Carnaby's cockatoo, Borden's cockatoo, and forest red-tailed black cockatoo. So there's been questions before about whether this is in fact a food source and a habitat for cockatoos. Why is there any doubt, do you think, that when Dwyer has put it down quite clearly, why do you think there's any doubt that this is actually an important foraging source?
Mr. Bird?
Thank you through the chair. I guess when the revegetate or the flora and fauna survey was undertaken in 2020, the outcome of that, it talked about the area being completely degraded to good, and that was from a vegetation point of view, and there wasn't a lot of fauna identified when they did the desktop survey at the time, and we can only go on what that report advised us in 2020.
One more. I've got a few other councillors who'd like to ask questions. Thank you,
Thank you,
Councillor
Madam
Ross.
Mayor. My follow-up is, will the removal of this area of green canopy reduce the overall City of Melville green canopy below 12.5%?
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Bird?
Thank you through the chair. Any loss of canopy is detrimental towards our target of increasing our urban forest across the city. But again, we have very progressive planting programs and are trying to offset any loss through those programs.
Thank you. Councillor Wheatland?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got two questions. I guess my first one, have we got any other tip sites that have been remediated across the City of Melville?
Mr. Bird?
Thank you through the chair. Yeah, well, we do have a number of ovals across the city, such as Troy Park, I believe, is a tip site, Tompkins Park, John Creaney. So there are some that have been rehabilitated over the years.
Okay, and my second question is quite out there, but is there any thought because we're at this point in time because of council decisions in the past, is there any thought to relocating the trees? Other councils and local governments do it at a high cost. I mean, there's going to be, I know that the smaller the tree, the more successful it's going to be replanted. I'm sorry, Jeff, but you know, like, could there be an effort by the club to actively work towards relocating or replanting some of those smaller trees, bigger trees? It's a serious question.
Mr Bird?
Yeah, thank you through the chair. That is always an option. Some of those smaller trees we might be able to dig up quite easily and move them somewhere else. The larger trees are more problematic due to their size and the time it takes to actually prepare them and move them. That's something that could be considered, but it's not something we have looked at as an option at this point.
Councillor Woodall?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have two questions. Just the first one was, just my recollection was that the city had previously done an estimate of the cost of remediation for John Connell, and I recall there was a report on it, or there was some kind of investigation into it. I just wonder, I understand that may not be to hand, but I wonder if that could be looked into and potentially brought to councillors' attention in the EMB or otherwise, just so we have an estimate of approximately what sort of cost we're looking at. That was just my first question. And the second one was around the area to be cleared. So in relation to the approval with conditions, presumably it would be open to the city, and based on what the club have indicated, it would be open to the city to only clear a portion of that site. I think the club mentioned approximately 0.35 hectares, and to retain the rest of it, provided that the offset conditions are still complied with. Presumably that would be still in keeping with the permit requirements. Is that correct?
Mr Bird?
Thank you through the chair. I believe so, yes. I think 0.68 cleared would be worst case, and if we can get that reduced, I think that would be a win, and I would think that would be seen as a positive.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from elected members? Councillor Barber.
Madam Mayor, just firstly, I missed it, Mr Bird, when you talked about the number of trees on the 0.68 or the 0.35 or whatever. Can you just give me those data again?
Thank you through the chair. So the worst case scenario, if everything was cleared in the 0.6 area, there's 2 trees above 15 metres, 18 trees between 10 and 15 metres, 82 trees between 5 and 10 metres.
Sorry, what was that last figure?
82.
Yep.
107 trees between 0 and 5 metres, and 46 grass trees.
Thanks very much. Just now my questions. So just clarifying, with or without this motion, there's no hint of land clearing, anything happening before April, is that correct?
Mr Bird?
Yeah, thank you through the chair. Yes, so we'd bring something back to council by the latest April for a decision on where we go from here.
My last question is the $100,000 that has been put into the budget, has that been utilised already? And if it has or has not, what is it going to be utilised for?
Mr Bird?
Thank you through the chair. No, it has not been utilised yet. That's going to be for the city to engage with consultants to determine the final design, look at some concept options, the actual cost of the revegetation and rehabilitation plan. And yeah, we're looking to engage with the contractor in the next month or so.
Thank you. Councillor Lim?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question, like, when can we start revegetating? Because do we have to wait till April 2026? Because to me, we can start planting the 65,000 plants now, regardless of what decision is being made. Thank you.
Mr Bird?
Thank you through the chair. So we would need to obtain a budget to commence that, and at this point, we don't have any funds allocated to revegetation.
Thank you. Councillor Lee?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Continuing from Councillor Whitland, she was saying that have you considered replanting those trees? But when I spoke to the second presenter, his understanding that a lot of the trees would be safe and replanted. So it's not your consideration at all?
Mr. Bird?
Thank you. We still need to develop the concept plan into a detailed plan to determine where the oval would be placed. And once we have that information, then we can start considering options to transplant or relocate plants. But at this stage, it's too early to make that decision.
Councillor Spanbrook?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Mr. Bird. Just a quick question with regard to the trees, the number of the trees you referred to earlier. That, from my understanding, that the cricket club has a desire or an intention of retaining as many trees as possible, in particular the two that at 15 metres. Has there been any discussion that you have had with the club that they have shared similar information that I'm just sharing with you now? Thank you.
Mr. Bird?
Thank you, through the chair. The club have obviously presented their revised concept, which we saw earlier tonight, and did take into consideration those larger trees and trying to shift the oval extension away from that area to retain those trees where possible.
Councillor Ross?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, through you, Mr. Bird, how much does it cost for planting and maintaining each sapling, given that we've got to maintain it for at least 4 years? So how much would that cost just for one?
Mr. Bird?
Through the chair, we work on a cost of roughly $4 a plant for purchase and installation and initial water. In terms of maintenance of bushland plantings, we generally don't do a lot once they go on the ground. They tend to let them look after themselves. So we do some weeding in that area, but we would do that normally as part of our operational maintenance.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from elected members? If there are no further questions, thank you very much, Mr. Bird and Mr. Burton. Okay, we're moving on to the motion now. Head of Governance, Ms Newman, wishes to make a statement.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I'd just like to advise the meeting that the Mayor has declared an impartiality interest in relation to this item. As a social member of the Leeming Bowling Club, the Mayor will remain in the meetings and discuss and debate and vote on the matter.
Okay, thank you. We now have a motion proposed by Councillor Edinger. Councillor, do you wish to proceed?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move a deferral.
Madam Mayor, I would like to say something just before that. I have realised that I have left some wording out of point 4 of the motion, which I'm very sorry about this. I've had a stupidly busy recent time in my life, so I just missed. The wording is in dot point 4, after the words multi-use oval, on the area to be remediated, because the city is already going to be doing the costings on the new oval in the revised layout.
Can I just get some advice on that? Ms Bowman, CEO, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Edinger. I would just need to check with officers whether that would be possible, because as Mr Burton had advised earlier, there's another project which is identifying the cost for the remediation work for that site, which is actually a different project and is commencing this financial year, but I would believe it's not going to be ready in time for the April council meeting. Can I just check with Mr Burton if that's correct? Thank you.
Mr Burton?
Through the chair, yeah, that is correct. We could probably give a high-level indicative costing to do a bit of a cost-benefit analysis at a very high level, but there's a lot of specifics that I sort of talked about in relation to Councillor Robbins' question previously, where we do need to get some external advice in order to understand other requirements, whether they be structural, gas monitoring and those sorts of things, which we wouldn't be able to get, but you know, for an exercise to understand in terms of levelling that area off, we could probably be able to get an indicative estimate that would give council a bit of guidance to make a decision.
Ms Bowman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr Burton. So probably would just need to say cost estimate rather than costs and viability if we're not going to have maybe
acceptable.
a detailed... Yeah, thank
that's
you.
acceptable to me. Thank you. I think some visibility rather than none at that point is a good idea.
Okay, thank you. So you are wishing to proceed with this motion as you've amended it, if I can say.
Yes, I am, and thank you for allowing me to update the wording.
Thank you. Now, do you have a seconder? Councillor Wheatland?
Can I ask a question about that through you, Madam Mayor? I was on the understanding that the officers reported that this remediation of the former tip site was going to take some time, and the remediation of the tip site is going to take some time, and that would be at the expense of the Leeming Cricket Club, or to have to wait longer if this was to go forward. I think, it's. I just want to know what's the definitive timeline, please.
Ms Bowman, CEO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Wheatland. So Mr Burton had estimated it might take about 18 months for us to get a more detailed cost estimate and also a remediation plan, which is more complex. So this would be just requesting that we prepare a report on the cost estimate at a high level, so it wouldn't have that detail that would need to carry on for beyond April 2026. But I guess the council would need to consider in the option analysis any time frame that it may be a different time frame to develop an oval on the former tip site in comparison to an oval extension as was proposed in the clearing permit application. So it's more around potentially you might be seeking to know what time frame it might require for a oval to be constructed on top of the former tip site, and then yes, that would potentially delay another oval being constructed in comparison to the time frame for an oval extension in the current site. Is that your question, Councillor Wheatland? Thanks.
Councillor Wheatland?
Yes, thank you. That was what I wanted to know, because I think by adding this to part 4, it's not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to look at other options in the area that could be quicker, if we went down that path.
Can I ask a question? Are we actually changing item 4? Because previously, it was request the CEO to prepare a report on the cost estimate of constructing a second multi-use oval, which I understood to be the one we saw on the plan tonight, at the John Connell Reserve to be presented to the ordinary meeting. Now it seems we're not doing that at all. We're requesting the CEO to prepare a report on cost estimate of constructing a second multi-use oval on the area to be remediated. And is the area to be remediated the tip site, or is the area to be remediated the oval that they've been requesting?
Yes, my understanding is that a report was already coming to council in April 2026 on the plans as they are at present. And so I had wanted us as a council to be able to look at the alternative, which is a new oval to the east of the existing oval, but I just completely forgot to put it in my motion. So Because there is already, Madam CEO, can you clarify, please?
Thank you, Ms Bowman, if you could.
Thank you. I understand your point. Because there is already a council resolution from June 2022 to work in conjunction with the sporting club regarding planning and design, we would still need to continue on with that process for the current proposed oval extension and provide a report back to council by April 2026 for that particular option. So from interpretation of what we're saying, point four would then be providing another option, which would be in addition to what we were already preparing, as that was also considered in the draft John Connell master plan. We do believe we can deliver both options to the April 2026 council meeting. Thanks.
Okay, so do you have a seconder?
Not yet.
Okay, Councillor Whitten has seconded. Now we have a procedural motion before us. Councillor Robbins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm proposing that we defer this decision until the April 2026 ordinary meeting of council.
I think you need a seconder before you do your 2-minute speech. Councillor Spanbrook. Oh no, Councillor Woodall. Thank you very much. Yes, Councillor Robbins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
2 minutes.
I'm deferring the motion for the following reasons. This issue has unfortunately become an election issue with lots of commentary online to the point that the administration saw it fit to issue a statement on this in order to clarify things. I don't feel it's appropriate that we consider this item this side of the election, especially given that there are candidates on the council. I, for one, as a candidate, don't feel comfortable deliberating on this when there has been such a high level of interest from the community. The officer report and business case due in April 2026 will provide further information and council decision points, and I think that it's appropriate we consider these two items, that being the motion before us and the officer's report that's due in April 2026, together. As we've learnt tonight, nothing significant will happen in that time anyway. As outlined by the CEO earlier, the only difference between the motion before us and what's already proposed is increasing the green cover at Kenhurst, and this is probably more appropriately considered once council has made a decision on the sports field extension. As it stands, no clearing work can be undertaken until the April 2026 report is presented and the council has made a resolution on the John Connell Sports Field Extension project. The land is vested to the City of Melville and the clearing cannot be undertaken by the cricket club or the LSA. The clearing will not take place until the officers have prepared further information and the council has considered the project and implications as a whole. Making a decision such as what's outlined in the motion before us is premature, and it would be prudent to wait until it's time to consider the project as a whole, by which time the election will be well behind us. I urge my fellow councillors to support the deferral. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Robbins, the motion is that the council defer the motion to the April 2026 ordinary meeting of council. We will now go to the vote. Green is for agreeing with Councillor Robbins to defer and red is for no deferral. The deferral is carried 9-8-4. Thank you very much. It is now carried. So we have now finished with this item for tonight. So thank you very much for your attendance. If you wish to leave the gallery, you're welcome to do so. But now we're moving on to the next item, item UP 2587. I'll just wait a moment.
So long. They're shaking their head at me. And why should we all get caught up in it and be wedged on it?
All right, thank you. We're now, for the convenience of those providing a deputation, the next item I would like to bring forward is UP 2587, proposed Applecross Ferry Terminal and associated facilities within the Canning River and Canning Beach Road Reserve. Ms Richards, Ms Number and Ms White, will you please make your way to the microphone to make your deputation? You will have 10 minutes to speak with a further 5 minutes for elected members to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Lindsay White here representing the Public Transport Authority to talk on the ferry expansion project known as Metronet on Swan. I will just refer you to the screen in terms of following through the presentation. If it's easiest, I'll just obviously refer to next slide in terms of moving forward with the presentation. Thank you. So just starting with an acknowledgement to country, noting there was one done at the commencement of the council meeting, but the transport portfolio acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians throughout Western Australia and their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. We pay our respects to all members of the Aboriginal communities and their cultures, and to elders both past and present. Obviously, the Derbarl Yarragon presents a significant cultural heritage for the traditional owners throughout Western Australia, and so we're here to talk to you today on the project itself and provide you an update. And I think there were some items for clarification as part of the presentation, so we can talk to those points and obviously take questions as well as we move through. So we can just have the next slide. So everyone would be aware it's an election commitment from the WA Labor State Government to increase ferry services throughout the Swan River. And to date, we've had some investigations undertaken, which has included some geotechnical, civil and design work done in relation to the actual vessels themselves and the terminal designs, which we'll touch on in relation to the Applecross location. Next slide, please. So I think the expansion of the ferry services across the Swan River has been explored various times over the, probably more than the last 10 years as well. But however, the latest business case was put together back in 2022, and we've further done some additional work, which has been a recently submitted business case to Cabinet, which has now resulted in the expanded service throughout the Swan River. Next slide. So on the screen there, you'll see the existing ferry service, which is the green route between Elizabeth Quay and South Perth. And we are currently discussing the blue route, which is from Elizabeth Quay to Applecross via the Matilda Bay location, which is directly in front of UWA. And the PTA with the Department of Transport and Major Infrastructure, who are assisting the PTA in jointly delivering the project. We're also starting investigations into further expanding that service further east as well. If I can have the next slide. So to date, this is where we're at. So we have new terminal designs, which I'll have on screen very shortly for the Applecross location. The PTA is currently in a process to procure 5 electric vessels. So that'll be for the first western expansion of the ferry service. We're looking at charging infrastructure at Matilda Bay and backup charges at other terminals. We're intending to use the Barrack Street jetty as an overnight berthing facility and doing some modifications to our existing Elizabeth Quay infrastructure. Next slide. So in particular, the Applecross terminal, I do have another slide which in a moment which provides better context in terms of the location of the terminal, but we will have a fixed jetty which will be connected to shore. There'll be a sheltered waiting area where passengers will be able to purchase tickets, a covered hinge walkway, and then the floating pontoon where passengers will board. So if you're familiar with the Elizabeth Quay or South Perth facilities, look very similar to like that in terms of managing passenger flow. and we will also have backup charging at the Applecross terminal. Next slide, please. So this is the proposed location down. You can see on screen in front of you, we've got the proposed route just adjacent to the Raffles Hotel building and alongside the PSP. So the PTA has done a significant amount of work in this space in terms of developing a traffic impact statement to understand the movements in the area, and then obviously looking at retaining as much public foreshore as we can and providing separation through cycle and traffic movements through the use of chicanes. We'll have additional line marking, and obviously our main goal is to minimise obscuring visual amenities, whilst obviously looking at providing a terminal that also works in with the river. And I've got a bit more information in terms of the proposed location decision point. Next slide. So this is what we are calling our concept designs. So this is the design that we will use to go out to market. So the PTA has been responsible for the concept designs to date, and following any approval of development application through the Department of Transport and Major Infrastructure, a request for tender will be put out for the construction of the actual terminals themselves. And these are just some artist impressions of what the terminal will look like. Next slide, please. So in terms of the Applecross location, so the PTA and DTMI have done a significant amount of kind of stakeholder engagement, which also has included residents within the apartment complex there. And so a range of considerations was made in terms of the location itself and the orientation of the terminal. So you'll notice the walkway is adjacent to the existing PSP and provides that good connection to shore. And the floating pontoon and the walkway have been designed so that they're in natural flow with the river. And it just means that there's less impact on the environment in terms of additional dredging requirements that would be needed if we were to orientate the terminal itself closer towards that northern point of that corner. And we've also had a look at that from a disability and compliance perspective, and making sure that the design life as well aligns with what we're anticipating for the predicted sea level rise within the area too. Next slide. Okay, so in terms of other locations on the screen there, you'll note that there's a number of crosses. So the two red ones were explored. Obviously, there's the public jetty, which is City of Melville, is a publicly available jetty through the City of Melville. And any work on that to make that more of a public-facing jetty for the Transperth vessels would require a significant amount of work. And we would also require sole access to that terminal as well, taking away that public amenity. And there's also some safety in terms of line of sight requirements, which we obtained information from the Maritime Department of Transport, and they've been heavily involved in the discussion points and the decision making around the actual locations. And next slide, I'll just jump into that. What is that eastern side? So the Canning Bridge terminal. So there will be a terminal on the opposite side, which will connect into the Canning Bridge bus interchange. You'd be aware there's a significant amount of development which is occurring to redevelop that area. Obviously, we've had discussions particularly with the residents in the apartment complex around having the terminal located on the opposite side. So, and why we can't do that ahead of the Applecross terminal construction. And the intention is the green part of that eastern side of the Canning Bridge bus interchange, where you can see the connection through to shore. That'll be the construction laydown for the bus interchange when that time comes. So it's not feasible for us to develop that terminal location ahead of the Applecross location. And the intention of having the two is to provide the connection for people alighting from the train station and wanting to connect through to the ferry, but also providing connection through to Applecross and that high density living and encouraging tourism in the area. Next slide, please. So in terms of the design, you can see the concept designs that this is the design that the PTA has gone out to market with in terms of the 5 electric vessels. They look very similar to our existing fleet, and the intention is to be able to have a vessel which we'll be able to use up and down river as we progress further east. In terms of the frequency of the service, we're looking at a 25-minute frequency, and it'll be a 15-minute journey time between Applecross and Matilda Bay. Next slide, thank you. So there's been lots of discussion on wake and wash and impacts to shore in the area. So the PTA, based on its general arrangement that we have gone out to market with, we have had a wind and wake comparison completed, and the vessel design, depending on the speed at which it's travelling, does not provide any greater input than the wind and wave height that you would expect on Melville waters. And next slide, conscious of time. So these are just the journey times that we anticipate, that are currently for passengers that are using bus and train in and around Applecross to Matilda Bay. So obviously the ferry provides a greater chance of, is going to be a quicker mode of transport when comparing to those different modes. And yeah, next steps. So just, thank you. We're obviously looking, as I mentioned, to expand that service eastwards, but we will continue to do a lot more stakeholder engagement. We actually have a session planned tomorrow for Applecross, a pop-up session with our development applications now submitted, and that public comment period being open. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your deputation. Councillor Edinger, you have a question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. 3 blasts of the horn every 25 minutes from 6 a.m. to midnight. Are the residents of the Raffles apartments aware of this? No, that's what's It's right next to the Raffles apartments. That's a lot of horn beeping.
Yes.
Thank you.
No problem. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Pardon, have you answered the question?
Oh, okay. No, so what was the question, sorry?
Are the residents of the Raffles apartments aware that these ferries will be blasting their horns 3 times, every 25 minutes? They'll have 3 blasts of horns from 6 a.m, or probably 6:30 a.m, to midnight, like every day of the week. That's a lot of noise.
So in terms of the question, I'd have to refer to No? Yeah, I'm going to... Thanks, Melville.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and councillors. My name is Melville, and I'm representing the PTA as well. So the 3 blasts of the horns, we're referring to one of the locations that we've deemed as unsuitable. So that's the one that's right in the corner between sort of the Raffles Hotel and the bridge there. The vessel would have to reverse out of that corner, and when the vessel reverses, they have to blast their horn 3 times, whereas at the location that we've selected, you don't have to blast the horn.
Thank you. Councillor Barber.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your presentation. So we're going to have 2 jetties, one at Canning Bridge and one at Applecross, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, good. You gave the minutes from Applecross to Matilda Bay, but I don't recall seeing the minutes from Applecross to the city.
So it's an additional 15 minutes. So from Applecross through to Matilda Bay and then up to the, Elizabeth Quay will be a 30 minutes, but we'll have 25-minute frequency from every location. So we'll have three vessels in service at any one time, and then 1 vessel on permanent charge. Obviously being electric, we've got to maintain the service. So passengers will be able to get on a ferry at Applecross every 25 minutes, but it's a 30-minute journey time to the city.
But it'll come directly from the city to Applecross, which will be how long? No, it always goes via Matilda Bay?
Correct,
yes. Okie-doke. Right, you mentioned bringing them to Applecross because of the tourism in the area, and that's really exciting. The only question I've got is connections, and it's all very well dropping them at Applecross, but then how do they get to the tourist destinations? Are we going to have an increase in PTA bus routes? Are we going to have new PTA bus routes? Have you thought about further than just the ferry and the connectivity issue?
Thank you for your question. So in terms of additional bus services, there isn't anything new bus services planned as part of the ferry expansion, but the Transport Service Planning team will continuously review the service kilometres that are currently in place and providing those connections for passengers.
And I've already said I'm excited, but I'm also scared of the viability. And you said you've done a business plan, but I'm just worried that it's not going to work. And how detailed has your business planning been? Because I can see it would suit the students particularly, but again, they'll have to catch a bus, they'll have to walk. I'm just really concerned that this is not going to be viable. So how can you allay my fears in that regard?
So in terms of student journey times, so based on our modelling that was done as part of that business case, it's passengers that are travelling along the Mandurah line up through into the city, then have to catch a bus from the CBD out down to UWA. And so it's those connections and those journey times where we're going to see that passenger, I guess the travel time is going to be significantly reduced because they can alight from the Canning Bridge bus interchange and connect through to UWA in that sense.
Okay, Councillor Barber, I'm going to have to ask other councillors.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll come back to you. Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In the earlier slide, I noticed that you had one charger in Matilda Bay. Is that being constructed? Because is one charger sufficient? Because it's a heavy use ferry. So are you planning on any new chargers?
At Matilda Bay specifically, was it? Sorry, was that your question? Yeah, so there'll be, at Matilda Bay, there'll be 4 chargers and there'll be in terms of a connection size, a 3 megawatt connection for the Matilda Bay area to charge to provide power to the 4 chargers that will be at that terminal.
Thank you. Councillor Whitland. Oh, shall we go to Councillor Edinger first?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you please advise what consideration has been given to South of Perth Yacht Club start lines? They have sailing on Wednesday nights, on Saturday, on Sunday, and during the holidays in summer they have small boats. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So we have engaged with the South of Perth Yacht Club at numerous occasions. They are actually not against this project. We have sat down with them and discussed routes that are possible for the ferries to go around their sailing areas. We've also established a waterways stakeholder reference group. So this is the South of Perth Yacht Club and their sailability program are part of that. And so are the other yacht clubs and the rowing clubs and the sailing clubs and all other water users in between Applecross and the city. And the Department of Transport and Major Infrastructure Maritime is currently working out the proposed route and how it's going to work with the on-water activity currently going on.
Councillor Wheatland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, just one question. I noticed in the plans that you had up, I can't find it now on my computer for the life of me. There was a tree identified as in the impact zone, or as I can't remember what it was called. It was marked A. Does that mean it's going to be removed?
We might just, if we can just refer back to the slides.
Thank you. I do have one more question.
That one, is that the, sorry, just go forward one.
Is it that one? Oh. Yeah, I'm looking.
No,
I'm looking.
there aren't any trees identified for removal at the Applecross location.
Okay, one further question, if I may, just a quick one.
Yes, Councillor Wheatland.
Yep. Are these electric boats going to be manufactured here in Western Australia?
So the PTA still has an ongoing procurement process, and we haven't awarded a contract for
some really good sustainable boat builders that live in Applecross, Mount Pleasant area, and it'd be great. Wouldn't that be a great story?
Okay, Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. I have 3 questions. My first question is, how many ferry visits will there be per day to this terminal?
I wouldn't have that number available to me at this stage, but yeah, it's every 15 minutes from the commencement of service, which would be, I would approximate to be 7 o'clock from Matilda Bay and 15 minutes to Applecross thereafter. And then it's a 25-minute frequency until last service.
Would you agree it's 44 visits per day?
I would not be able to tell you, sorry.
Yes, I have worked it out, it is.
Okay,
The second question is, You've given us the time frame for getting from Applecross to UWA, and that's great for people who want to go to UWA, students. That's fantastic. But why haven't you done a comparison for the people who want to get to the city? Because that's where the congestion is on the freeway. So why haven't you given us that time? And would you agree that it's possibly around 40 minutes?
So in terms of the first part of the question, so it's for passengers travelling directly from Applecross to Elizabeth Quay, is that? So it's a 30-minute journey time.
Thank you. Councillor Barber, did you wish to continue questioning?
Oh, I'm happy to let Councillor Lim have a couple of questions.
Councillor Lim, I didn't see you. Thank you. Councillor Lim.
Thank you, Councillor Barber. Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So through you, just a question for, I did see the multiple location sites there with the different crosses. So I understand that, when you went out to community, and I went out to community and asked a few questions as well, a lot of them said that there's alternate sites like, the Applecross Jetty or Point Water. Have you considered those feedback? And I guess how did you sort of incorporate that into your application process? Thank you.
No problem. So in terms of the alternate locations, they were considered previously in previous business cases, and in terms of the location as it is now, it was around that, providing that connection time from the Applecross point as it stands through to UWA as being, the quickest mode via ferry. And then there were also complexities with safety on the river in terms of crossing river channels.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from elected members? Councillor Barber.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just getting back to my viability, I want this to work. You've talked about the uni students, but what about during the day with those 44 visits? Who's going to be on there?
So we anticipate there'll be, so in terms of the business case, as part of the modelling that was completed for passenger usage, tourism was also taken into consideration for that.
The slide presentation we've seen tonight, are we able to get a copy of that?
Yep, no problem.
Excellent. And my last question, when is the bus interchange train station revamp going to occur?
I'm not across the detail because I'm not involved in that project, but I understand plans are underway now, but I can't comment on the timeframes. 2027 construction commences from information internally.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lim.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. White, just a question as well. I have to ask this. So are there any sort of updates around, providing parking and, like a kiss and ride sort of situation? Because I have gotten a lot of feedback around how this is actually going to work. Like changing bus routes is great and all, but like there's going to be people that want to drive there to take the ferry. So has there been what's the latest update on the parking situation? Thank you.
Yeah, so it's not being considered as part of the development application that has been submitted, but the PTA, as part of its planning, has identified potential locations for a kiss and ride type setup. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Woodall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In regards to the modelling, will the PTA modelling and the assumptions underpinning it be released to the public? And secondly, will the costings for the service be released publicly?
So in terms of the modelling, I can't provide comment on that. A summary of the business case was committed by the state government, so that will be released. And in terms of the operating expenses, that'll just be as part of the WA state budget process.
All right. Are there, Councillor Barber?
The little City of Melville jetty, that will have no impacts. That'll just operate as normal, will it?
Correct. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Yes?
No impact.
No impact.
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councillor Whitland.
Thank you, through you. Seagrass. We know how important seagrass is for carbon sinks and for our river systems. I'm just trying to have a quick scan through 3.10, the Benthic habitat, and trying to understand, is it saying that there's not much seagrass in this location?
Yeah, it's been
And then-
identified as minimal impact
Okay,
to
then-
seagrass in the Applecross location, yes.
Yep, and then what would the environmental protection or the planning part of it do to protect what is there?
So in terms of, so the PTA has self-referred the expansion process to the Environmental Protection Authority, and so to identify where there would need to be clearing. So as part of that process, any recommendations, if that is assessed, the PTA would obviously adopt that as part of that process.
Okay, are there any further questions? Oh, Councillor Spanbrook.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks for the presentation. So with regard to this, the display that you've put up, has any of this come from any of the, the ferry terminals already existing in Australia? And have you, or you've been over and to have a look at Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne, what they actually do? And so that way then you're able to understand, what you should not do here if there have been any elements of, environmental impact or, any other areas as well with regard to even like the actual design of the terminal itself. Thank you.
So in terms of the design, the PTA is in touch with jurisdictions around Australia in terms of other transport agencies to provide guidance or, that are delivering similar types of works. But in terms of visiting, no.
All right. Have we come to the end? Is that all the questions from elected members? Okay, thank you very much, Ms Richards. And now I'd like to invite Ms Bainbridge, Manager Development Approvals, to provide a short presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, next slide. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice at the moment. I'll probably just skip through because thankfully the applicants have gone through a fair bit of context. Sorry, next slide. Next slide. In terms of the recommendation, we're required to provide a recommendation to the Department of Planning by the 20th of October. The city's officers have made an assessment, a pure technical assessment against the relevant reports and development application materials. We haven't had the benefit of receiving any community feedback to be able to inform our recommendation. That will be the Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage's responsibility. The city's recommendation, or the officer's recommendation, is to approve the application for mainly the following reasons. It will provide more connectivity for the precinct to the UWA and QE2 Specialised Activity Centre. Swan River is for everyone, with public ferry service being one of the most accessible and affordable options for the public to use and enjoy the Swan River. The increased accessibility to public transport within the precinct may help traffic congestion within the precinct. The journey provides a scenic option across the Swan River for visitors and tourists to the precinct. The city can work collaboratively, and we hope to work collaboratively with stakeholders to ensure appropriate provision of public car parking within the precinct. Other outstanding matters and concerns we believe we can work through with the PTA and DPLH or condition accordingly. And it also provides an upgrade to the existing infrastructure along the foreshore, including an open space, including the PSP, which benefits the wider community. Next slide, please. We do note there are several outstanding concerns though, some of which have been addressed and discussed tonight. We really wish to be kept informed of the stakeholder engagement and outcomes, and as well as the progress of the proposal. We're very keen to hear what the community has to say and potentially try and address concerns where they are within our remit and responsibility. The Cannings Bridge location is noted as the city's preferred location. And we definitely encourage, and the future terminal at Canning Bridge is committed to. We'd really like to see the updated TIS to just maybe flesh out a couple more issues in relation to pathway congestion for the PSP and safety concerns, parking provision, and the PTA commitment to explore provision in the future with the city, viability of a service to increase patronage rather than just modal shift, and bus service integration. We also note that there's some issues to explore with regards to foreshore design alignment with the city's future foreshore management plan, updates to landscape and open space design, additional waste needing to be considered, as well as potential ferry design to address any impact there may be on neighbouring residents. So next slide. So if recommended for approval, we have provided a range of conditions covering the usual concerns and usual issues that we would see for this particular type of development, namely construction management, final materials and colour selection, public art provision, foreshore management plan, detailed landscape reticulation plan, lighting plan, stormwater management, detailed plans for road and pedestrian network upgrades, asset management maintenance plan, wayfinding signage strategy, road safety audit, SEPTED report, waste management, noise management, coastal management. All these are potentially additional reports. So it's a lot. This is the first stage in quite a comprehensive process. It's quite a technical exercise and it's just the first stage. Our technical officers will get another opportunity to look at some of these reports. We've made recommendations accordingly in the wording of our conditions that we're kept abreast of those clearances of the conditions. So just for tonight, the options are you can adopt our recommendation, you can make modifications or a new recommendation, you can request to defer, and in that make an amendment to the recommendation, or you can make no comment. Once after this evening, we'll sort of finalise our minutes and send it through to the DPLH, and from there the DPLH will refer it through to a statutory planning committee meeting. Formal comments and deputations can be made at that meeting by the public and also by the city. I haven't got a date on that yet, and we'll provide that as soon as it's known, but given the timeframes of this application, I probably anticipate a late November meeting. So thank you so much, and I'm open to any questions.
Okay, questions to Ms Bainbridge. Councillor Lim.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Ms Bainbridge, for that presentation. So I think we just heard from Ms White around the two, I guess, like drop and ride parking bays. So I went and sort of Googled it, and it says that this is subject to the city's agreement. This is sort of the first time I've heard about it, and I'm not too sure if other councils feel the same. Can you elaborate more about this drop and ride situation and where it's located? Thank you.
Ms Bainbridge.
Thank you, through the chair. In one of our sort of concerns, we noted the parking situation not being fully resolved or addressed in the traffic impact statement, and our request for the applicants to work with us a little bit further on that particular issue. We do have concerns about accessibility for all users of the ferry, not just the average person. You need to consider all abilities. So we do encourage exploring that further. We have looked at the parking situation along Canning Beach Road to try and improve the usability and functionality as part of the Riviera development, and we'll potentially have to revisit that as part of this proposal.
Thank you. Councillor Lim, you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, if I can. Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So I guess, would that those bays, would that be on council land or is that state land? Thank you.
Ms Bainbridge.
Thank you, through the chair. It's technically state land, which the city has management orders over. That's why we were requested to sign the development application form. We have management orders over the reserve. So we would need to sort of give and work with the applicants. It's road reservation, so it needs to be for road preservation purposes.
Thank you. Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just following up from Councillor Lim's question, could you show us on the map where these two bays are proposed to be?
Sorry, Ms Bainbridge.
Thank you, through the chair. I could not, unfortunately. I'd have to defer that question to the applicants.
Are there any further questions from elected members? Yes, Councillor Spanbrook.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just, if you don't mind going back to the previous slide, please, just with regard to the asset management and maintenance plan, is there an intention that it'll be the city's responsibility for that, or like how do you think that may play out with the asset management and the maintenance plan of the terminal?
Ms Bainbridge.
Thank you through the chair. I believe that was a technical comment received through internal referrals, and the asset management plan would assign clear roles and responsibilities for ongoing maintenance of certain infrastructure, some of which would be PTA, some of which would be the requirement for the city to maintain ongoing. So it's about assigning clear roles and responsibilities moving forward and a plan for their upkeep.
A follow-up, please,
Thank
if I
you.
may.
Yes, Councillor Spanbrook.
So just on that, so would there be like a percentage, like 50-50 or 60-40, or that's still to be decided?
Ms Bainbridge.
Thank you through the chair. It would be specifically which infrastructure is maintained by which, not a percentage share of who maintains which infrastructure. Thank you.
Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the chair, I keep seeing this new concrete foreshore seawall keeps popping up. Why do exactly we need this seawall? Because the water is quite calm around that area. Thank you.
Ms Bainbridge.
Thank you through the chair. There was a little bit of discussion about this, and we're working through a foreshore management plan for this particular area in partnership with DBCA, Department of Biodiversity Conservation and Attractions. There's pros and cons in terms of the methodology for managing the foreshore based on the activity, and that's why there's usually a management plan required. It's a bit of a technical exercise in the balance of engineering and planting for stabilisation of the foreshore. There is a recommended condition that we work collaboratively with PTA to finalise that plan, so it better takes into consideration the ferry operations. It may require more hard infrastructure, but it also may be able to be managed appropriately with planting. It's a technical exercise, and hence we're requiring a final foreshore management plan to be worked on collaboratively with PTA to ensure that we better consider the ferry operations.
Okay, any further questions from elected members? Councillor Ross.
Madam Mayor, I'm not sure who to direct the question to, but I'm just concerned that we're responding to this proposal, preparing a report, but we don't even know where these drop-off bays are meant to be. We don't know if those drop-off bays can be converted to bus drop-off bays. So surely we need to have a bit more information on that, which should be included in this report before it's sent out.
Ms Bainbridge.
Thank you through the chair. In relation to concerns that are outstanding, there is ability to modify the recommendation to add that as a concern and deferral recommendation accordingly.
Councillor Lim.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So, Ms Bainbridge, just a question around, because I know the Riviera sort of around is pretty much what we're looking at right now. They're doing some, I guess, work on the Canning Bridge pedestrian area. Have we sort of, I guess, worked with them to say, look, when you decided the community benefit, the ferry wasn't actually in the picture. Have we sort of, I guess, worked with them to say, look, could we sort of redesign some of your landscaping to provide, like, I guess, more bays? Because I'm pretty sure that the community would appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Ms Bainbridge.
Thank you through the chair. We haven't had a lot of opportunity through the quite tight time frame in the assessment process to request information or modifications or additional information. We have a very short time frame to assess the proposal, collate the information, prepare a report, get it through to yourselves as the deciding body as to what our formal position is as a city. So unfortunately not, but it's something that can be added to the final recommendation to the DPLH.
Okay, any further questions? All right, it looks like we've finished our questions. Thank you very much, Ms Bainbridge. So now I would like to note that Councillor Robbins has submitted an amendment in relation to this item. So before we move to the item, we need to table the officer recommendation. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Wheatland moved, Councillor Barber second. Right, thank you. Councillor Wheatland, do you wish to open the debate?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you. Look, as a master mariner and a navigator on the river, I have heard many people over the years talk about a ferry service on the river. And I think that after working on tankers in Queensland and in Sydney and navigating the ferry system over there with ease and, you know, like adaptability to be on one side of the city and the next minute you're right in the city centre is just incredible. And for me, I prefer to navigate on water rather than in a car down a banked up freeway. Nothing drives me battier. And then you've got the Swan River sitting, or the Canning and the Swan River sitting right there, and you're looking out and you know that it's navigable areas, you know, like there's lots of navigable areas. So I think this is a great start, MetroNet on the river, for the future residents and ratepayers of the City of Melville, the City of Perth, and more broadly, the tourism that we're going to get coming into the city as a result of Councillor Lee's visionary strategy for a tourism strategy. I think that there are some areas that need, you know, consulting or tweaking with the community because it is an environmentally sensitive area. It is a very dense, with a lot of high density in the area. We're already impacted with traffic conditions and traffic worries there. But I think, as we've discussed previously when we were doing the Moro Muse, that people don't need to drive their cars in this area because we have the bus service running straight down Canning Highway. And people can get off the ferry and walk to the Moro Muse town square, which we decided to go forth with to attract tourism and attract people to the area. So I fully support this motion, and I am excited to see what can eventuate from it, and it would be great to see some local industries and local boat builders and local, businesses to be included in this manufacturing and development of this area for the ferry service. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wheatland. Councillor Barber, did you wish to speak now or later?
Yeah, I'll just quickly speak now, Madam Mayor. Look, my colleagues will know that I've been excited about this project. I do want it to work. I think it's fabulous for the City of Melville residents to use, but also to bring tourists to our wonderful city. I am excited that if it makes the bus interchange over at Canning Bridge be upgraded, the sooner the better, because that's been a bit of a white elephant, and we need to really fix that area for our residents. I am a little bit concerned about connectivity. I think there are still some matters to be addressed, such as dropping off and short-term parking. So I'm also very interested in hearing Councillor Robbins' amendment. But in principle, I think this is a great initiative for our city.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Barber. Councillor Robbins, you have an amendment.
Yes. Would you like me to read it out?
Yes, read your amendment out and then we'll find a seconder.
Thank you. And I'd just like to make a small change, if it's okay, just replacing the word delays with defers. So the motion will read that the officer recommendation be amended by replacing the words 1, that the council recommends that the proposal is approved subject to the following matters being addressed, with that the council recommends that WAPC defers its consideration of the proposal until the following matters are addressed. And 2, the following conditions are recommended with, should the WAPC be of a view to approve the development, the following conditions are recommended.
Do you have a seconder? Councillor Lim. Thank you. Councillor Robbins, do you wish to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to thank Ms Bainbridge and other officers that have been involved with the preparation of this report. It's very comprehensive and covers many issues that are outstanding and that need to be addressed before approval can be granted for this development. The intent of the recommendation is that approval is dependent on many outstanding issues being resolved. And my amendment, well, the intention of my amendment is to make it absolutely clear that the council is of the view that the approval should be provided if and only if the outlined issues are addressed. And Ms Bainbridge earlier presented a list of up to 15 plans, reports and strategies that officers believe need to be provided before the decision maker, which in this case is the WAPC, can be satisfied that the development application can be approved to provide the best outcome for the community. The motion includes in a lot of detail all the issues that have been identified by our officers, and I don't propose to go into a lot of detail on those, but I guess I'll just take a moment to outline some of the issues that I'm most concerned about. In my view, the development cannot be allowed to proceed until these issues are adequately addressed. I believe there needs to be further community consultation on the location of the proposed ferry terminal. I know that we have been told that there's been extensive stakeholder engagement, and that's fantastic, but there has been no community engagement around the location of the proposed ferry terminal, and that community engagement should be undertaken to inform the development application. It's being undertaken now and the development application's already been submitted. So it's almost like the community are being asked what they think as an afterthought rather than asked in the first instance. In addition to community consultation on the location, I think that there should have been public consultation, general public consultation to inform the design, and I think that needs to be undertaken. I have concerns, as others have flagged this evening, with regards to parking, and I know that the response to those concerns has largely been that bus routes along Canning Highway will allow people to get to and from the ferry terminal, but I guess just the distance from Canning Highway to the ferry terminal for me still raises some concerns around how effective those connections will be. I'm also concerned, as Councillor Barber's mentioned, about the viability of this. Yes, it's exciting. I think we all enjoy catching ferries, and if the development is approved and all these concerns are addressed, I would definitely take a ride on the ferry myself. But as it stands currently, I do have some concerns about the viability. I think further modelling needs to be conducted. There needs to be further data provided and statistics on how much use we can expect to see of the ferry, especially given the lack of parking or public transport connections. The second part of my amendment makes it clear that we're not saying to the WAPC that, yes, you should go ahead and approve it with these conditions, but instead we're saying if you are going to approve, having considered all of the outstanding issues and address them, then here are some suggested conditions. So it may seem on face value that the changes that I'm recommending don't mean much, that it's just playing with the wording, but I guess my intent is just that as a council, we make it abundantly clear to the WAPC that we're of the view that they should not be making a decision on approving this development application until the outstanding issues, which are outlined in the recommendation, have been addressed. So yes, we are generally happy to provide our support in principle, but we need those issues to be addressed before we are willing to throw all our support behind an approval. So for those reasons, I seek your support to have this amendment incorporated into the officer recommendation. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, would be able to ask Ms Bainbridge a question, please, just on this amendment?
Yes. What is your question?
My question to Ms Bainbridge is, you have actually heard the amendment, and can you please give us your perspective on it? And you know, like, is there anything in it, or like, where are we going with it? Thank you.
Ms Bainbridge.
Thank you through the chair, and thank you for the question. It is a no big change to our recommendation. It achieves essentially a similar outcome. Ideally, we'd get greater opportunity to work collaboratively with the PTA's applicants before a final recommendation is made through the WPC, and I would hope this recommendation also allows for us more time to present back to council. That would be the ideal, in my opinion.
Thank you. Is that a second question? You're all right. Okay, now, we've had Councillor Robbins opening. Councillor Lim, do you wish to speak now or later?
Would I be able to add sort of like an amendment to the amendment?
Not really, but why don't you make a suggestion and the... yeah, make a suggestion. Let's hear it.
Okay. So I think the suggestion is just probably from what I've discussed already, is just to sort of consider the location of the two, kiss and ride bays that's situated in the state land under the management order, and collaborate with the city officer on this matter. And then
that sounds pretty substantial. I don't think we can continue down that path at this point. We've got an amendment on the table, and if it was a word or two, I thought it might have just been one or two words, but it seems to be a substantial statement. So let's continue with Councillor Robbins' amendment. And do we have anybody speaking against it? Is there any opposition? Anyone opposed? If there is no one opposed, I declare it carried. It is now part of the substantive motion. Now, Councillor Lim, did you wish to change something? Did you have an amendment?
I wish to add two, I wouldn't even know what that's called, like sections.
Well, just tell us what you're trying to achieve and we'll work it out for you. I'm sure governance will come up with a solution.
Yeah, so I think what I'm trying to achieve is for the drop and ride to be considered with the city Melville officer. So that's the first bit. And then the second bit is to explore opportunities to work with the Riviera development on a potential, foreshore landscape upgrades that they currently have right now as a community benefit, but that was prior to the ferry actually being proposed. So whether that could be incorporated with the kiss and ride situation. I don't have the wording with me right now, but because I just discovered the information 10 minutes ago.
I'd like to move that the amendment be put.
Sorry, we're just dealing with this, Councillor Lim, at the moment, and then we'll go on to you, Councillor Edinger. It's basically a question.
I withdraw that.
It's a question that we need to resolve, okay? So we won't take too long. CEO, Ms Bowman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Lim. I'm not sure if Ms Bainbridge is able to just clarify if there may be somewhere within the current office or the amended officer report and recommendations that this could be included regarding the kiss and ride and the foreshore management. Could you please clarify? Thank you.
Thank you, through the chair. Just in relation to the outstanding concerns, we have noted parking provision and impacts as one of the concerns to be addressed, most notably that we don't believe there's been adequate provision of drop-off and pick-up and accessible bays. So we have already addressed that as an outstanding concern. In relation to the foreshore management, we've also noted that we really need to work together collaboratively to ensure appropriate stabilisation. And also we have listed a number of outstanding landscape and open space concerns.
Okay, Councillor Lim, does that cover what you're trying to achieve? We have it on the screen at the moment, what you've mentioned. Has it been achieved by Ms Bainbridge answer?
Yeah, so I was just going off the advice that for my question before, where this could be added as a comment under the officer recommendations. If she thinks it's covered already, I wouldn't need to go ahead with the amendment.
Ms Bainbridge, you're saying it's been covered adequately already?
Yes, especially with the proposed amendment changing it to deferral, that those listed concerns would need to be addressed prior to the city coming back and supporting or reconsidering the proposal.
Okay, thank you. So you're happy to withdraw that then? Thank you. Councillor Edinger.
No, I have nothing to add.
Okay, we're back to the substantive motion. Is there anyone against?
Just a question, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Barber.
Thank you. Ms Bainbridge, did you see points 1 and 2 that the city officers kindly drafted that Councillor Lim wanted? Did you have a look at those? Could you turn the screen down a little bit, governance, just so we can... No, other way. Other way, that's it, yep. Just those 1 and 2. It's not worth incorporating those, Ms Bainbridge?
I understood Ms Bainbridge said it was covered already and Councillor Lim was prepared to withdraw it.
She hadn't read it. I just wanted her to read it and just see.
Okay. Ms Bainbridge, have you read it yet?
Thank you, through the chair. So point 1 is very specific. We've made a more general comment which provides flexibility to work more collaboratively to find solutions for kiss and ride, drop-off pickup, and also accessible car parking as well. In relation to the second point, we do have a point in relation to foreshore management, which is again less specific but requires ongoing collaboration to make sure that our foreshore management plan and open space design adequately considers the Riviera develop as well as the city's ongoing work with DBCA for this particular space.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for that clarity. I just feel better now.
Okay, so we're satisfied it's off the table. All right, thank you. We're back to the substantive motion as amended. Is there a speaker against? Is there anyone opposed? If there's no one opposed, I declare it carried. All right, thank you. Moving on to item C25-325, statements of financial activity for August. We do need an absolute majority. Can I please have a mover and seconder? Councillor Wheatland, seconded Councillor Spanbrook. Is anyone opposed? If no one is opposed, I declare it carried. Tell me when you're ready. Okay to go? To go. Okay, so number 15, motions with previous notice. We move on to motions with previous notice. The notice of motion, bus shelter lighting, 15.1. The motion was proposed by Councillor Edinger. Councillor Edinger, do you wish to proceed?
I do, thank you.
If so, can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Barber, thank you. All right. Councillor Edinger, do you wish to speak on this?
I do, thank you, Madam Mayor. The impetus for my motion requesting the city to prepare a report investigating installing solar-powered, motion-activated low-voltage lighting in bus shelters throughout the city was seeing a woman standing at a dark bus stop late in the evening waiting for a bus. I presume she was waiting for a bus. She could have been waiting for something else. I thought, why can't we, in this day and age, have smart lighting in our bus shelters? Lighting that turns on when motion is detected and turns off once the motion has ceased for a certain period of time. Having lit up occupied bus stops will make it easier for bus drivers to see at night or in times of low visibility when their next passenger is waiting to be picked up. It will increase personal safety for passengers who are waiting in the dark. It will reduce the likelihood of bus drivers not seeing passengers and driving past the bus stop, which I've heard happen at night. Oh my God. So for these reasons, I ask that you support my motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Barber, do you wish to speak now or later?
I think I'll speak now, Madam Mayor, if I may. I had a meeting with the CEO last week and I put her on the spot and I said, what are the two biggest issues that you see we have in our city? And the second thing that popped out of her mouth was the community concerned about safety and security. And so I find that Councillor Edinger's motion very timely. They're concerned about security, and what a great opportunity for us to show that we're listening to them, and providing this security of a lit bus stop, I think, is a very good idea. I also want to just wrap up and say that the caring nature of Councillor Edinger is evident in this motion, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank her for her caring and kindness for the residents of Melville during her time on council, and commend her on this motion, and I hope that you'll support us on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone opposed?
Madam Mayor, sorry.
Councillor Wheatland.
I've just seen an opportunity. I think it's wonderful. Can I make a slight amendment?
What is your amendment?
So I've been speaking to people at the dog park and at reserves, and during COVID we had lighting put on later at night so people could get home from work and go out and walk their dogs and recreate, etc., etc. And I think maybe can we actually add a second dot point to investigate other areas of the city that may benefit from solar lighting, like, I don't know, sorry.
Ms Bowman, CEO? Yeah, Ms Bowman, CEO. Let's have some response on it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I think that is going to a very broad scope of work, and the city officers probably wouldn't have sufficient resources at this point in time to really look at a study that's such a broad study. From a community safety perspective, though, in the Safer Melville plan, there is another piece of work regarding public lighting from a community safety crime prevention perspective, which is still, I think, in progress. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Is there anyone Councillor Woodland, sorry. Councillor Woodall, that's it, you've been away a long while.
That's all right, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to be called whatever you think necessary, appropriate. I just had a question about the lighting. I guess it's more looking into the options, but I understand that quite a few bus shelters in the city are paid for by advertising companies, and I just wondered, would there be an opportunity as part of the report to look at whether perhaps those companies would actually install the lighting themselves, or if it was necessary, I don't know if the advertising can be illuminated more so that it's brighter and provides lighting itself, but I wonder whether the report would look at that. And just secondly, whether I know the PTA are very reluctant to have anything to do with bus shelters, but whether we could look at, lobbying members of Parliament and or the PTA to actually get involved in this issue and contribute, given that it's presumably not an issue just limited to the City of Melville, would be across the metropolitan area. And it's, I think, a bit unfair to expect local governments to solely fund, the bus shelters and the lighting when they're for a state government service, effectively.
Ms Bowman, CEO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Woodall. We could liaise with the O Media organisation that we currently have a contract with for, I think it's 58 bus shelters at the moment. Mr Coton may be able to add to that regarding the city's responsibilities regarding bus shelters, other than this contract with O Media versus PTAs, but I'll just check if he could add any further to that. Thank you.
Mr Coton?
Yes, through the chair, there's 447 bus stops within the City of Melville, so that's not bus shelters, that's often just the orange pole. Of those 447, stops. 236 of them have got bus shelters on. 58 are the advertising shelters that are operated by a private company, and there's 178 City of Melville bus shelters. The PTA and local government through WALGA have got an agreement in relation to the shared costs and upgrades of bus shelters, and that's very clear and quite specific, and we certainly could ask the question of the PTA, and I can't speak on their behalf, but I would be reasonably certain that they wouldn't be supportive of that just on the basis of the funding across the metropolitan area, because at the moment they don't fund all of the shelters, but we can certainly look into that.
So just a question. So the question I think that Councillor Woodall was raising is, do we need to amend this in any way? Am I understanding that? To include all the points that have been raised this evening? Ms Bowman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, we can include that in the report, so we could look at any potential shared funding arrangements, any also other opportunities with the O-Media company, because they do already have power going to particular bus shelters. So even though it says solar, we could also just check if there are any other ways of looking at lighting from a community safety perspective, bus shelters. Thank you.
Right, Councillor Spanbrook.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wondering if I can do an amendment to this, please, because I've never had a request at all for lighting at any bus shelter within Bull Creek and Leeming. However, one constant request has always been to have the lighting in public access ways. So I'm just wondering, is it possible, if not too onerous on the officers, to actually include in that, in bus shelters, and as well as public access ways? Is that a possibility, please?
Ms Bowman, CEO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Spanbrook. So under the Safer Melville plan, the city are already investigating a public lighting strategy from a community safety crime prevention perspective, and public access ways will be considered as part of that. We are currently looking at any grant funding opportunities as well to try and add to the city's current budget for public access way lighting. So there's no need to make any amendments to this motion because we're already looking into that work at the moment. Thanks.
Can I have a follow-up, please?
Yes, Councillor Spanbrook.
So with regard to the bus shelters, that the majority of them are on main roads, on roads where you would get, through traffic. So in saying that, there perhaps there can be an amendment there with where bus shelters that do not, the actual street lighting does not filter, or the spill does not include or fall, near the bus shelter. Is that something that maybe will sort of pull it back a little bit? And not only that, I recall I've been trying to find on the portal for the last half an hour or so, because I do recall there being, we had an EMIS and that it was on the bus shelters. With regard to, I'm pretty sure it was with regard to lighting. So anyway, thank you.
Ms Bowman, CEO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll just check if Mr Coton can talk about whether or not in the assessment they will be looking at current street lighting and the illumination of bus shelters as part of, the work we're doing, to see if there's currently enough lighting from, say, a street light, and there may not need to be a solar light option. That could be part of the assessment, but if Mr Coton can confirm that, thanks.
Just prior to Mr Coton actually speaking, I just wish to make mention of recently there was street lighting that had been replaced on Wheatley Drive in Bull Creek, and I did speak to the guys at the time, and they did advise that there's various levels that they can actually do with the LED lighting. So therefore, even though there may be street lighting close, it may appear to be dim, but I'm sure Mr Coton will know anyway that they can certainly, if it's got an LED, they can brighten it, of course, to perhaps, that spill to include the bus shelter. Thank you.
Mr Coton.
Thank you. Through the chair, yes, that would be part of the report that we would do. I would envisage we would undertake a nighttime inspection of all of those shelters and identify the ones that some of them already will have existing lighting from adequate lighting from street lighting, and so obviously we would be recommending that, they don't need any additional lighting. And in relation to the comment about LED, as part of the LED upgrades that are going on in the city, staff are already working with Western Power in regards to that and making sure that where it is near a bus shelter, that brighter LEDs are installed.
Okay, thank you. Is there any voice against? Anyone opposed? If there is, Councillor Green, are you asking a question or you're opposed?
Well, yeah,
Do you want to speak against?
Yeah.
You would like to speak against? Sorry, you keep turning your mic off. I'm not sure what you're saying.
I'd like to put it to a vote. I just think I just find that this is a little bit specific and operational as a motion. I think lighting in public areas can be looked at more holistically through processes already in place for such as community safety and street lighting, these sorts of things. So. It just strikes me as an added cost to the city, and therefore I'd be looking to vote against it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy to take another speaker against if there is one. Otherwise, I'm returning back to the mover of the motion. Councillor Edinger, would you like to wrap up the debate?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm glad that most of you appear to support my motion, and if it was an administrative thing and the city had thought of it earlier, then they wouldn't be on board with my suggestion, so hooray for that. So I look forward to driving down Canning Highway and seeing people waiting in lit bus stops sometime in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Edinger. We're going to the vote now. So green is for you agree with this motion, and red is if you are against. Carried 11-1. Thank you. So we're now moving on to the next one, which is 15.2, Notice of Motion, Bregor Almondbury intersection. The motion proposed by Councillor Edinger. Councillor, do you wish to proceed?
I do, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Barber.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move a deferral at the appropriate time on this one.
Okay.
This is my last council meeting.
Since I believe we should hear from Councillor Edinger, since this is her last council meeting. Let's have the opportunity to speak. So, Councillor Edinger, please open the debate.
Thank you. My motion requesting the CEO to prepare a report on the feasibility and options in relation to reopening the Bregor Place Almondbury Road intersection has been motivated by the DAP approval of UP 2564, which relates to the development on the western corner of Bregor Place, Ardros, for 57 multiple dwellings and 3 group dwellings. At the 1st of April 2025 special meeting of council, Mr Simon French presented a deputation in relation to this development in particular. The development of 57 units and 3 houses equates to a minimum of 60 vehicles that will potentially be entering and exiting the building on a daily basis. Each vehicle movement generally equates to 2 trips as the vehicle exits and re-enters the building. And this is 120 vehicle trips each day at a minimum. It is highly likely that vehicle movements will be greater than this. Mr French advised that the traffic impact statement in the report put to the DAP was flawed. It proposed to have traffic from Bregor Place exiting to Leverberg Street rather than the more appropriate Almondbury Road. Leverberg Street has large amounts of traffic parking on it, and sometimes to the extent where it's impossible to drive 2 cars along the street. This causes additional congestion issues as cars are unable to freely move to Risey Street or Links Road to exit the area. Mr French also advised that the traffic impact statement submitted with the proposal was flawed and had significant errors in it, including traffic generation figures which were inconsistent throughout the document. In order to free up traffic flow on Leverberg Street and Bragle Place, I am therefore proposing that the City investigate opening the Bragle Place Almondbury Road intersection. This would have an immediate impact by allowing vehicles to easily exit to the south. For these reasons, I ask that you support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Edinger. Councillor Barber, do you wish to speak now? I think it
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, just very quickly, I was at the DAP approval and the residents fought vigorously against the exit onto Bragore Street from a big development being built on Almondbury Road. They wanted the exit on Almondbury, but sadly lost that fight. So it makes a lot of sense for the flow of traffic into our potentially very busy Melville City Activity Centre to be as streamlined as possible. And so I fully support this motion. It's a good motion. It'll help the flow of traffic and it'll certainly help the residents in that area. So I ask that you support Councillor Edinger's last motion.
Thank you, Councillor Barber. We now have a procedural motion. Councillor Green, you wish to defer this item until when? What date? What month?
I would probably say March 2026.
Okay, do you have a seconder? Councillor Spanbrook? Okay, Councillor Green, you have 2 minutes to speak to this.
Yes, I completely agree that that the situation on Bragle Place and surrounding streets such as Leverberg Street need to be addressed given the new development that has gone through, unfortunately, and the impacts that's going to have on traffic, along with probably other developments coming up as well. The motion came in relatively late. However, I've taken the time to make contact with a number of the residents around the area. It seems to me that no one was aware of this motion when I spoke to them about it. I've had mixed feedback. As you can probably imagine, people up near the Almondbury Road end don't want any change at all to the cul-de-sac. Further down, they're open to the idea of maybe moving the division sort of halfway down the street or something like that. But there's also some other considerations that I think should be looked at, such as investigating whether parking on one side of the Applecross High School side of Leverberg Street can be facilitated. I've had a drive down myself. It seems pretty feasible to me. And some residents have suggested that that's something that they'd want. They've also mentioned that they've been convening amongst themselves to come back and talk to council about what they would like, but haven't quite got to that stage yet. They were thinking about November, December. So I just think this is. I just think we need to speak with the local residents a little more before we put in a motion of this kind, particularly in relation to the wording of reopening the Bragore Place. I think the conclusion that people were coming to when I brought that up was that they would think it was a through street and a rat run, and really there wasn't anyone that was supportive of it being completely opened so far. So I just think we need to have some more preliminary consultation with local residents before we go ahead with setting the parameters for a report. Thank you.
Just a question before we vote on it. When the report is prepared, how will they report it? Will the officers just work it out themselves, or would there be some element of communication with the public? Ms Bowman, CEO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll need to just check with Mr Free, but yes, I would expect the staff to engage with residents in Bragor Place and consult with them. But can Mr Free please confirm whether that would be part of the methodology? Thanks.
Mr Free? Oh, Mr Coton.
Yes, through the chair, yes, we haven't had a lot of time to give consideration to how we would do it, but certainly in a situation like that, consultation with the impacted residents would be part and parcel of an assessment.
Okay. Yeah, the only thing about this, the commentary of Councillor Green is that he was proposing broadening the scope, whereas that's not contained in this recommendation. Okay, so now we're going to go to the vote. Any questions? Yes. Okay, Councillor Robbins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So based on that information, if community consultation is required for the officers to prepare the report, does that not mean that a budget allocation is required, or can the consultation be carried out within existing budgets?
Ms Bowman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the motion is about preparing a report. So it wouldn't, I don't believe, include the actual work to be done. It would be more around the scope required to then look at an option of reopening Bragor Place. So usually with these types of motions, it's more about a report that would come back to council with the proposed process, including any resource implications. But if Mr Coton can confirm that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yes, through the chair, that would be correct. And perhaps just to clarify the earlier comments in regard to the scope as well, as Councillor Green was talking about parking around the high school and things like that. So those sort of things wouldn't be included in the report that we would bring back. The report we would bring back would be as worded in the motion in relation to the feasibility and options to reopening that intersection.
Was that a question, Councillor Spanbrook?
It is, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Just with the motion itself, it refers to the reopening Bragor Place and Almondbury Road intersection. So just listening to Councillor Green, how he's spoken to residents in that location, there may be other alternatives that people are putting forward. So therefore, aren't we putting the cart before the horse? Wouldn't it be better then that if the officers then have some sort of community consultation, then because there may be, other, suggestions or alternatives than just actually doing this, or there may even be something else added to it as well. So other than just keeping it to opening of Bragor and Almondbury, I think we need to consider all options. Thanks.
Mr Coton, Mr Coton, did you actually cover that with your commentary, that if you are determining the scope of this in a report, that you would be considering external other roads besides just Bragor Place?
Through the chair, the impact on adjoining roads would certainly be considered, but the only modification that would be proposed would be the actual modifications to this intersection. So, and I understand from the developments that were spoken about earlier, there was obviously the traffic impact assessments and things like that. So there will be some information that is available on the surrounding roads already available.
Okay, I think we need to go to a vote. It is a procedural motion. Now, just to bring to your attention, a procedural motion means this exact same item will come back to March 2026, identical. This will be the motion. So that's what you're voting on now.
Apologies there. Just before we go to a vote, I just want to confirm with Mr Coton that because the motion does actually state Bragor Place, Almondbury Road intersection, so in saying that, to consider other thoroughfares, is that perhaps this needs to be amended or something? Is something like
Well,
that?
let's just ask Mr Coton. I think I didn't quite hear everything he said previously, but were you suggesting that you would be able to broaden that scope out? Is that what you were suggesting earlier?
Yeah, through the chair, if the intention was to look at options other than just reopening that intersection, other options in terms of traffic management in the area, then a broader scope probably would be beneficial, whether that's in terms of like a local area traffic management plan or something
But it
like
wouldn't
that.
be in this particular item as it's written at the moment.
No.
All right, so
Madam Mayor, then is it, can I then move an amendment to reword?
no, you've got a procedural motion on the table that we have to vote on. The procedural motion is to send this back to council in March with no change. It's exactly as it's written there, no change. You can withdraw your procedural motion and the seconder needs to withdraw it, and then you can move an amendment. You can withdraw it and then amend this. What do you wish to do?
In anticipation of an amendment, I'll withdraw my deferral motion.
Thank you. And the seconder, are you happy for that to occur? Okay, thank you. Councillor Green, I will hear your amendment now.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thinking on the run somewhat here, but I just think in relation, perhaps a report on the feasibility in relation to modifications of the Bragor Place Almondbury Road intersection and surrounding streets. Road network, that sounds like a good wording from Councillor Woodall. With potential for parking along Leverberg Street.
I think we might need a bit of assistance for something a little broader than that. But Mr Coton, would you be able to assist with some words here that would include a little bit more of the surrounding area, particularly Leverberg Street? Very hard to see. Can you move the clock, please? We can't read the... Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Jane, how are we going to say goodbye to you? But you keep your number. You keep your same phone number.
Look, because it's taking a little bit of time to sort this out, unless somebody's come to a conclusion, we're going to adjourn the meeting for a few minutes until some resolution has come about. Thank you. Thank you very much. I've re-adjourned the meeting, and now the motion that Councillor Green is proposing is as written there. The councillor requests to, I think that word is the request. The council requests the CEO to prepare a report to develop a local area traffic management plan in the vicinity of Bragor Place, Almondbury Road and surrounding road network to be presented to the ordinary meeting of council to be held in March 2026. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Spanbrook, you're happy to be the seconder. All right, Councillor Green. Do you wish to speak to it?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I believe this is, from my discussions with residents, I think this is better because it broadens the scope of what's being done. I think, you know, if we'd only done what was being suggested in the original motion, we would be having to go back and look at some other options as well after consultation with the residents. In particular, the removal of the word reopening of the Bragor Place Almondbury Road intersection will alleviate local residents' concerns about through traffic and rat running and these sorts of things. So, yeah, I think this amendment is appropriate, and I'd recommend voting for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Spanbrook, do you wish to speak now or later?
Madam Mayor, I made a grave mistake that it should have been Terry Lee who wanted to actually second it, and I just couldn't get his attention. I just wanted to get on the table. So Terry's actually wanting to second the motion, if that's okay. Can we please change that?
Yeah, I think we can change the seconder. Councillor Lee, you're happy to second it? Being the ward councillor, that's a very good thing to do. So thank you very much, Councillor Lee. Do you wish to speak now or later?
Thank you. I'll speak now. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have spoken to the residents, and this is a long problem coming forth, and with so many new apartments coming up, there's no way out. But we have to relieve the traffic. So I'm totally in support of this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lee. Councillor Robbins.
Could I just ask a question, please? So the local area traffic management plan could include reopening the Bragor Almondbury intersection, right?
Ms. Bowman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Robbins. Yes, it could. So that would be looked at as part of a study. Yes, and it would also consider parking in the immediate vicinity of that area. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I don't know. To me, traffic management is just like the movement of vehicles. But if you can assure me that it could include amending the road network, then I'm happy with that. Thank you.
I was going to suggest that because it's quite different to the original motion, could we include in there somewhere surrounding road network, including the feasibility of potentially reopening Bragor Place Almondbury Road intersection? Could that be included in there as a specific?
CEO, Mr. Bowman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Barber. Yes, you could be that specific if you would like to be in the amendment, if agreed. Yep.
Does that mean you want to move an amendment?
I'd like to ask the amenders if that could be put in there as the feasibility.
Yes, okay. Councillor Green, are you amenable to that?
No, I'm not, I'm afraid. I just, that word in reopening, the word reopening in particular was the word of biggest concern, I think, for the residents when I spoke with them. So, you know, and it sort of suggests that that's the solution we're trying to look at. And so therefore I think I just think it's, prudent or, you know, sensible to remove that and just have it so that we're open to other options and not suggesting that that's the only option.
Okay, thank you. So I take it that you're not accepting that as you're not amending the motion at all, the amendment. So Councillor Barber, you would need to wait for us to vote on this, and then you can move another amendment if you so wish. Okay, so we now have this motion on the table, or the amendment. Is this a motion? Yeah, okay, it's an amendment. So is there anyone against? Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Edinger. Okay, so do you wish to speak against it? No? Shall we proceed to the vote? Councillor Green, do you wish to wrap up the debate, or have we pretty much heard everything?
No, I'm comfortable. I've said what I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I will move straight to the vote. So Green is if you are supporting the amended motion by Councillor Green and Councillor Lee. Red is you are against it. Carried 9-3. Councillor Barber, do you wish to make an amendment?
No, it got carried, didn't it? So can I amend?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I need to ask. But we now have to vote on the substantive motion, so we're going to do it again.
So I can do another amendment, can I?
Yes, you can.
I do want to go home, but I'm happy to do an. Could I add an amendment that also looking at the feasibility of opening, as part of the scope of work, look at the feasibility of opening the intersection of Braygore Road and Almondbury Road.
Okay, so what is your amendment then?
That's it.
Can you give us some words that might help us with this?
Jane, can you, including after the word network, comma, including the feasibility of opening the intersection between Braygore Road and Almondbury Road. Braygore Place and Almondbury Road. Comma. Thank you.
Is that achievable? I have to defer to officers. Mr. Coton? Yes, it is. Okay, do you have a seconder? Councillor Edinger. Oh, right. That's true. Oh, yeah. Actually, you can't move because we're actually going back to the substantive motion, which you both are mover and seconder of. Quite good point. Okay, so that falls away, and we don't have an amendment unless somebody else wants to move it. Oh, Councillor Ross wants to move it. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Whitland seconds it. All right, so now it's back on the table. Okay, does Councillor Ross wish to speak to it? No. No, straight to the vote. Speak against? Okay, Councillor.
Very quickly, I just think we should defer to the expertise of the ward councillors who have indicated that they've had extensive discussions with residents in the local area. We've had confirmation from the CEO that this would be explored anyway, so I just would hate for the community to get the wrong idea and be really concerned that we're trying to reopen the intersection, and just trust our staff that they'll consider that anyway. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Does the mover and seconder wish to make any further closing comments? No. Let's just go straight to the vote. You are now voting on the amendment of this substantive motion, and so vote green if you support the amendment and vote red if you don't. That is lost 3-9. Okay, thank you. We're back to the substantive motion as amended. Is there anyone opposed? Oh, there is somebody opposed. All right.
Madam Mayor, can I move the motion be put, please?
You can. Do you have a seconder?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, point of order.
Point of order, councillor.
At least one person has to be allowed to speak against before a motion can be put, is my understanding. There has to be a reasonable allowance for debate.
Thank you. We'll just check on that. Did you wish to speak against? Yes, thank you. Yes, we'll have to go down that path. Thank you for reminding us. Definitely, you can speak. So we are now on the substantive motion as amended, and you'd like to speak against it. Thank you very much. Councillor Woodall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll keep it brief. There are a number of developments that occur across the city, new apartment complexes developed and so on various streets, and I don't think that it's feasible each time that happens to develop a local area traffic management plan when such a development takes place. I mean, ideally, when a development is proposed, it should be dealt with at that stage and the traffic should be looked at, which in this case, I believe it was, even though there were concerns raised about it. It was dealt with, I believe, by the developer at that stage. I won't go into into whether that was completely correct or not, but nevertheless, that's how it should be dealt with. I also think with this one that Garden City and the proposed redevelopment will significantly impact the local road network, not just Almondbury Road, but the surrounding roads. So in my view, it would be prudent to look at the whole road network around Garden City when we have some idea of when that will commence, rather than just this particular area in isolation, because we may find that we make a change such as, for example, reopening Bragle Place, Almondbury Road, and then when Garden City is redeveloped, we find that we want to close it again. So I would just suggest that we wait until that development, we have some idea of when that will occur and what the traffic impacts will be. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there another speaker against? All right, then I will go back to the...
Madam Mayor, can I move the motion be put?
Well, councillor, it probably isn't necessary at this point, I would think. Were you going to be a speaker against? What motion? Oh. I actually think we were wrapping up, but then if you... We were... Oh, all right, okay. I don't know if anybody's got much to say anymore, but we can go through these procedural motion now. Yes, thank you, Councillor Wheatland, and seconded Councillor Robbins. There's no debate, we just go straight to the vote. So we're voting on a motion to put the motion. Okay, so that means green means we put the motion, so there's no debate, we just go to a vote. And red means you still want to carry on debate if any of you have it left in you. Okay, so we know what we're voting for? Well, okay, so we have... It's carried 10-2. The motion to put has succeeded. Right, so now we're back to the substantive motion and we are now going to put that motion. So green is if you support the motion and as amended, and red is if you're against. Okay, so we're going straight to the vote. Councillor Lee? That is lost 4-8. Okay, thank you very much. All right. right, item 16, we're nearly there, everybody. Item 16, motions without previous notice. There are no motions without previous notice for discussion this evening. Moving on to matters for which the meeting was closed to the public, item 17. 18, well, there were no matters for which the meeting was closed to the public. 18, decisions made while the meeting was closed to the public. There are none. 19, closure. Before I conclude tonight's meeting, I advise that Councillor Jane Edinger will retire from her position on council from this Saturday and would like to address the meeting. Councillor Edinger. Use a mic. If you could use your microphone, that would be helpful.
Okay, so first up, I'd like to thank my family, my husband and my sister and my brother-in-law are here tonight watching us all. And shout out to my mum who's in hospital with a broken ankle and my other brother who's absent tonight. First, I'd like to thank Glynis Barber, who's been an excellent ward councillor. We have been run off our feet on occasion over the last 4 years, but I think we've managed to tackle the challenges with humour and grace and resolve some tricky issues. I'd like to thank the officers for their hard work and dedication. We've now got a really good executive team on board, and I think the council has a rosy future looking forward. I work in an all-male business, so it has been really good for me to come into a very female-dominated team every week for the last 4 years and have a bit of respite from the over-maleness of where I work, even though I really love where I work. I work with my husband, so I have to say that bit. I'd also like to thank the support from the community. I've had some very strong allies who have been sounding boards, and they've been reality checks, and they've been long-term supporters and new supporters over the years, so that's been really good. I'd like to thank the city for improving the technology that we have, because it's made our lives a lot easier. I've talked about this before, but there are more changes coming. This is one of the things I'm going to miss, is I won't be here for the technology revolution, and I won't be here for LPS 6 either. My highlights have been moving the Melville Bird Sanctuary motion to recognise the Melville Bird Sanctuary, moving the Morrow Mews up across Town Centre Square motion. The signage for it is in the plant room at the moment. I know you're going to put it up there. The sign off the Roy Edinger Community Centre was taken off, and I actually had asked the city if I could have that. But I'm going to donate it back to the city, and you can put it in the Morrow Mews. No, just joking. I've been pretty active, you might all realise, and when I ran for mayor, I asked how many queries had I put in, and I'd done 300 at that point in time. I'll be glad I'm going, I think, probably up to 400, maybe 450. I've slowed down a bit since I ran for mayor. I'd like to wish all the councillors who are rerunning good luck. All I remember from my election campaigns is how exhausted I was at the end of it. So I really know that it's a tough road, and when you win, it's because you put a lot of hard work in. I'd like to say good luck with LPS 6. That's going to be a huge thing for you guys to take on. And with the stations now being rolled into it, I think it will hopefully be a change for the better. And I'd like to thank you all for your support and the laughs and good times and the challenges and the short debates and the long debates. And I wish you all the very best. Thank you. And I'm going to have a drink in the bar afterwards, if anyone wants to join me.
Councillor Edinger, while formal recognition will be provided at the annual civic dinner, on behalf of myself, the elected members and staff, I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank you for your contribution to the City of Melville and its community over the last 4 years. So your service and contribution has been greatly appreciated. I'd also like to take this opportunity to extend my best wishes to all the candidates here for Saturday night's election. Your commitment to being involved in our community at leadership level is appreciated and valued, and we look forward to welcoming the newly elected members at next week's swearing-in ceremony. So best wishes, good luck, and I hope all goes well. See you Saturday night. All right. Now, there being no further business, I declare the meeting closed at 10:25 p.m. Thank you for your attendance.